Hello again! As you know, I am Eli the Computer Guy, and hopefully this isn't going to be a clusterfuck.
Hopefully this works.
Hopefully this works. So we are on the line. We have Louis Rossmann with me on the Skype call.
It took a combination of 30 minutes
Hello
combined
again.
to get
As you know,
both of
I
our
am
setups
Eli
to
the
actually work
Computer Guy.
and record audio and video.
And we're about to screw up. Okay, there we go. Yeah, Wirecast is a bugger. Apparently, if any of you folks out there got to use Wirecast, it's like you have to set everything up from the beginning. Because I set things up, but the audio wasn't working right, and so I had to go through and clean everything out. A real pain in the butt. Apparently, OBS is so much better. We're just having that discussion, though. Is OBS really... Like, everybody says, like, oh, Eli, if you go over to OBS, it's perfect. Is OBS perfect?
As long as you don't use Blackmagic capture setup. I had to replace my professional Blackmagic capture card with a fucking $150 USB Chinese dongle with no drivers just so that it would work in Skype. I can't stand Blackmagic. Holy shit. I mean, I've gone on about it in like the past 5 videos I've done where I just spent an hour before I started recording just because of some bullshit Blackmagic thing. It's frustrating.
But are there any better brand name stuff
Osprey.
out there?
Osprey makes this amazing card. It's a dual HDMI capture. It always works. Dual channel. It's easy. It works in multiple operating systems. It's like $1,000. So, yeah. I mean, I have to continuously go back and forth between do I want to curse for an hour or do I want to spend $1,000? Because I think if I spend $1,000, I'll wind up cursing for much more than an hour.
That's probably true. So it's $1,000 just for the card.
About $1,000.
Damn, that's for 1 or 2 inputs?
It's for 2 inputs, but it's designed to be used simultaneously. My problem is I'm using 2 different cards of 2 different brands and trying to make them work simultaneously. So what usually happens is one of them will decide to work and one of them will decide to not work at any given time, which is why I'm using a USB dongle that costs $150 from China.
There we go. And then, so what OS do you use for when you're doing your stuff?
I used to use Linux. Now I'm using Windows 8.1.
Really?
Windows 10 refuses... whatever I did, I could never get audio-video sync to work right, so I gave up on Windows 10. Okay. Windows 7 just kind of looks funny. And Linux has issues with the other capture card I have. So the Blackmagic card works fine in any OS. Wait, did I just say fine? No. Can we erase that? This is a live stream. Fuck. But the other card doesn't work fine with the one that works with the microscope won't work in Linux. The one that works with the one that doesn't work with the microscope works in every OS. So it's just a complete clusterfuck finding an actual combination of things that work together. Yeah. I'm not allowed to say that you're going to get to monetize now.
No. Yeah, that's that's what I think's funny with so many of the new people. They're like, oh, this should be so easy or simple. And you're like, yeah, no, it's not quite as simple as you think.
If you want to stream a video game, it's easy as hell. If you want to do something that nobody's tried before, it's a pain in the ass. Like, all I wanted to do was be able to split between a microscope, a schematic, and a camera at the same time. Like, I thought this would be simple. Yeah. No, everybody I contacted said, no, our hardware cannot be used in this way. No, you cannot stream 2 at once. No, you cannot do this. Oh, you can only do this, but if you're switching back and forth, or if I split inputs and, have transitions in real time, it's like, oh, I just want to hit a button and split between 2 things. I'll give you $5,000. Give me hardware and software that does it. But no other person has need to do this, so...
Well, but that's the weird thing I find. Like the different companies. That's what I dislike with YouTube, is like they don't have any like certified vendors. Like Livestream, if you buy Livestream's thing, you can actually buy for like $5,000. It's like the Livestream hardware, and then it's certified to do all the live broadcasting and all that kind of stuff. But
yeah. There's no. I mean, nobody's tried to do this, and it's not a popular thing to do. Like how many live streaming YouTube accounts are like doing a screen capture, a camera, and a microscope? Yeah. Like, I mean, anytime you want to be the first person to do something, you're just gonna have to solve every stupid little problem that nobody has thought you had.
Yeah. So you did the live stream yesterday, or how many live streams have you done at this point then?
2 or 3.
2 or 3. How are you getting 7? It's ridiculous. Like, I'm jealous of you. You got like 700 like live. I'm like, why are you watching him eat French fries?
I have no idea that they were sending me French fries. I didn't. I tested them on my own. Jason, how did the French fries from yesterday go? Are you still?
I'm still here.
Yeah, I tested them on him. We ate them at the because I thought they came from 4chan. I was expecting like, what's that thing that starts with N that if you drink it kills you? Yeah, I was expecting some of that nitroglycerin to be in the French fries. I had no idea that I was going to come out of that, working.
Right.
I have no idea why 700 people. Like, and the thing is, I don't schedule them. I did one of them at 11 o'clock at night while I was waiting for a friend's birthday party.
Yeah.
I did another one of them in the middle of the day. And it's a combination of I don't like editing, and it just eventually got boring to do the exact same recording over and over and over in the same format. It's like,
Yeah.
so I just thought I would try something different.
That's cool. Well, I know doing the live, it's definitely a different feeling. Like, even when it's just me talking from a camera for whatever reason, it's different doing it live.
You can't fuck up as much, that's for sure.
Yeah. Can't be like, oh, well, yeah, I didn't like that. Let's reshoot this. Like, yeah.
You can't edit out, okay, the board went on fire and there's no fixing it, but it started off just turning on. Let's just put that in the recycle bin. No.
No. Like, but the thing is, like, I was surprised, though, because, yeah, I knew your first one, you had 700 live viewers, but it was, like, Saturday night. So I thought it was like, okay, maybe it's bored people on Saturday night. But yesterday, you had, like, 5 hours where you had, like, 700 viewers, right?
Yeah, that was weird. It was between 560 to 750 in the middle of the day. And again, I didn't have a schedule. I don't have a schedule for it. I just do it whenever it makes sense. So whenever I have time and there's a bunch of stuff,
Yeah.
and I just hit stream and see who shows up. I don't want to do it on a schedule because then it becomes work. And once it becomes work, I'll hate it. And once I hate it, I'll stop doing it.
So then, but then your bandwidth issue, because you were complaining, because you had left that question in my community about up your bandwidth, but it looked, yesterday it looked fine.
It took a lot of experimenting with settings to find something that works. Like the GPU encoding looked like shit. The standard setting looks like shit. I had to push X264 to exactly the limit of what I can do with a 6-core processor and then do it in real time without skipping to get something where I don't look like a pixel. Because it's stuck at 2.5 megabit. It's 3 megabit per second, but I have to split that between web browsing, ringing customers up, looking up status, 4 voice over IP phones, and plus, I have, when I do a trace route to Google, my first hop will sometimes be 200 milliseconds. First hop, 200 milliseconds to Google. And it's like,
Oh my god.
I have a connection where, like, when you ring up a credit card, it probably fucks up my stream. Like, people are saying, oh, there was a jump there. And I'm like, yeah, we're probably ringing up a credit card.
Damn.
So that was my original concern. And I figured, let's just see what it looks like. Because I figured a slightly shitty quality stream would be better than not doing it at all. So we'll see if it's disgusting or not. And I looked over the result. It doesn't look that great compared to the regular video, but it's workable. And I think it's worth it to have the live chat and all that in real time. It makes it much more interesting.
Yeah.
It is. Again, it's just boring talking into a camera. It's like,
So what's wrong with the internet? I mean, I think you're in New York City. I mean, if there's one place in the world, I would think you could get a gigabit per second for $50. I would think it would be there.
not to sound anti-corporate, it's just I like Verizon. It's just they fucked up in fulfilling their agreement. So, the whole idea is you can, we will give you leeway to provide Fios everywhere in the city and, dig up streets and this, that, and the other in exchange by this time. And I don't remember the exact details of the contract. You have to have Fios to this much of the area. And they didn't. And the thing is, there are a lot of news fights where like, Verizon is cherry picking their neighborhoods and not going into the homes where there's low income and this, that, and the other. And well, if I'm investing millions of billions of dollars into infrastructure, where am I going to build it? Where people can't afford internet or where they can. It's like, I get that. People can say it's unfair, but at least I can understand the reasoning behind it.
Yeah.
This is First Avenue and 12th Street. Like this is a business area. There are a bunch of stores in this area. There's a bunch of apartments upstairs from here. That it's not like this is a building that has 2 homes. There's over 16 apartments upstairs. Right next door, there's another building with over 20 apartments upstairs. So I don't understand why we're stuck with DSL here, but for whatever reason we are. Now, if I go a few blocks over, you can get Fios, but a few blocks over, this amount of space is not $4,300 to $4,400. If I go over, this space winds up being $15,000 to $30,000. So it's one of those things where it's like, yeah, I could move if I wanted better internet, but no, fuck that. I don't want it. No, I prefer being able to feed myself.
Damn. So you don't have it, like in Baltimore, they got around some of that stuff is for business clients, you could get line of sight wireless. Do you guys have any of that in New York?
I honestly haven't looked any of that up. And it's one of those things where somebody came to me and said, oh yeah, we can set you up with this. It'll be a high installation cost. All we need you to do is get approval from your landlord to go on the roof and do this, that, and the other. And it's like, my landlord is, he's either 100 or 98. I forget how old he is, but he doesn't speak great English. I had my lease notarized, his birthday was either 1916 or 1918. He's old. He barely speaks English, and he's a very strict man. And the only reason he's even renting the space to me cheaply is because he didn't want, somebody who was going to trash this place and destroy it. And he doesn't want anything changing, anything going anywhere. I can't even move he didn't even want me to move the radiator. The reason I had to put a counter where I put a counter is because it's hiding a huge radiator that I couldn't have a plumber move. So the idea of getting him to allow me to drill and install and have people go through the building and install an antenna, that's probably not happening.
Damn. So you pay over $4,000 because that's not much space, is it? Like 800 square feet, maybe.
It's about maybe 750. It's 3 rooms. It's kind of like a railroad setup, and there's a basement as well. That I just use the basement is disgusting. I never got it. I made the top look nice. Yeah. I never got around to making the bottom look nice because I ran out of money. I had a Home Depot door up for about 3 or 6 months in the beginning because I ran out of money when I was redoing the space. Yeah. So, but the basement is just boxes and bubble wrap. It looks too nasty to be used for anything. Really? But yeah, it's over $4,000, and it goes up every year.
So why did you pick? Because that's one of the things. Like I tell my folks, like the whole thing is, it's not how much money you make; it's how much money you get to keep. So why did you pick New York? Like actually being in the city, like what couldn't you get as many customers in Brooklyn or one of these other boroughs? I guess you call them around there.
Well, in Brooklyn, you get virtually no business. So, I mean, that was a god awful idea.
I thought all the hipsters were going into Brooklyn.
But they don't have any money apparently. I don't know. I had a space there, and I looked, and at one point, I had 117 customers that had a billing zip code of my Brooklyn store who showed up at the Manhattan one. 117 people who had a billing zip code on their credit card of where. So literally, my Manhattan store was actually bitch slapping the one that I had in Brooklyn. And I ended that after 6 months. So what happened was I originally just did house calls to people's homes. After I was done with doing the house calls, I started using this recording studio, and I was using the recording studio as a space that I could do business out of. So my deal with them was I will make sure everything works here all the time, and you will never have to pay a dime in maintenance, which was great to the owner because he had a cocaine habit, and he didn't want to spend any money on maintenance. He didn't have any money. He put it all up his nose. Yeah. So I said, I will make sure you never have to spend money, and you will never have a client complain that, oh, I want my money back for this rehearsal because this guitar amp didn't work, or, oh, I want my money back for this session because the U87 was crackling. I said, you'll never hear that. In exchange, I want to keep my parts and stuff here, and I want to meet my clients here. And it went great until they got bought out by somebody else, and the person called me. My phone got dropped in the shower. This is before Samsung had liquid-proof stuff. I was like cleaning my shower out, and it pocket dialed him while I was telling a woman that I was seeing at the time what a piece of shit that guy was. And he actually wound up working for he worked for a company that it was less of a studio/record label and more of kind of like selling drugs, and we're going to pretend we have a studio and record label to say that's how we make money. And then I get a call back from the owner. He's like, you motherfucker, do you know what I can do to you and your family? Yeah. This is like typical like Guido, Italian, New York BS. I can say that I grew up in Staten Island. And I had to find a new space. So this one guy, he used to sleep on the couch there and sell weeds to everybody, pointed out that there was a place next door, this place called Planet to Planet Studios that was open. So MBK, Alicia Keys' management company, was leaving, and it was like $3,300. It was absolutely perfect for what I needed. It had a ridiculous amount of space. They didn't want a first, last deposit, any of that. Just pay. Very nice landlord. Didn't care that I was early 20s, had no credit or any of that. It was great. So I made my first jump around 2011 at paying for a real space, and I was sharing it with 2 other people who were kicked out of that studio at the same time, so I wasn't paying all the rent. And then after a while, I realized this didn't make a lot of sense because I was sharing the space with other people, and I found this space for like $3,500. So it's like, I could pay $200 more money, have a space all to myself that is not in a basement, that I don't have to share, that's a store, or I could stay in a basement. So it became obvious that it would make sense to move here. Yeah. Now, this is right next door to NYU, right next door to the New School, right next door to all these college dorms. It's in a neighborhood that's surrounded by people who use Apple products and surrounded by bars that don't card. So you combine all these students that are coming in from all around the country to this area that have away from their parents for the first time with their parents' money and the $3,000 MacBook Pro that their parents got them, with beer and liquor that they can get at 18 years old, and ka-ching. So I mean, and there were also other stores in this area. There was one store in this area that's a long backstory that we never got along very well. Yeah. And he was about 3 or 4 blocks away. So I'm like, So this space is $200 more than where I am now. It's much better. It was a ridiculous deal because, again, the other guy that I don't really like a lot is paying $8,700 for a quarter of my space a few blocks away.
Christ, yeah.
An employee that I fired that opened his own store was paying $7,000 or so for his store a few blocks away. So a great deal.
Yeah.
And yeah, so I mean, I just saw that I could get a lot of business out of the space. Again, like, I'm paying $4,000 or $5,000 in rent, but I'm getting this much business. Now I could pay $1,000 in rent and get this much business. I'd rather have this much business and this much expense than this much business and this much expense. So I like to keep the gap between the two wide away. This space is absolutely perfect. Just
is it that it's easy to get to, or do you get walk by traffic?
it's not so much walk by traffic as much as it is proximity to the customers that I want.
Yeah, okay.
It's proximity to customers that I want, and also being in Manhattan, it's easy for people to get to. It's in the center of a lot of everything, and the customers that I want are in this area. It's the creative types that have an Apple product that use it either for business or for work or for whatever creative needs they want that they use it for.
Yeah.
And it's people that have the money to actually pay for the jobs.
So like, how many work orders do you get a month then? Like being someplace like that.
I would say there's probably. I'm trying to think between ones that we actually go ahead and fix versus ones we don't, because we do have a free estimate and no fix, no fee and all that. So probably about 10 or 20 a day of new stuff. I'm not saying that's what we repair. I'm just saying that's what probably comes in.
Yeah, really? Okay.
But I mean, we send away about 60 to 70% of what walks in. Like, I have no interest in like virus removal for $20 or any of that.
Yeah.
I have no interest in cracked phone screen repair. I have no interest in and I tell a lot of people, like, this, I want to upgrade to an SSD, and I say, here's what you can do. Here's how you do it. If you absolutely find this too hard, then you can come back here. But the stuff that's lower profit or that I think people can do themselves, I suggest that they do it themselves.
Yeah.
And I tell them, come back here when you've, dropped, have a car ran over it or spill Coca-Cola on it or something.
Yeah. But then, so what is your? Because that's one of the things, like, because we've been talking off camera, or whatever, for a while, and I watch your videos. But like, one thing I get confused about, like, what the hell are your businesses? Like, you randomly say like this Flux thing, and then you talk about Mac repair, and then like every once in a while you'll talk about phone installation. Like, what businesses do you have going? What are you actually doing?
Well, most of it is just repair for people that just walk in and have some type of liquid damage or have run over a MacBook Pro, or their phone dropped in the toilet and they need the data off of it or something like that. So I would say probably most of it is walk-in repair clients. Now, when it comes to, let's say, any type of phone system setup or cameras, that's not something where people just come in off the street and they're like, hey, can you set up my office network or any of that. It's something where, let's say, somebody brings in 2 or 3 machines for their school or for themselves, and then they'll call and go, hey, so you did this for me. We're opening a new office in this location. Can you set up our stuff? And I'll go, sure, because I already know them. I know that they're probably not wasting my time. I know that they're probably willing to pay because they feel comfortable with me. It's still a very small portion of it, but it's not like something where I'm getting new clients every day asking me to set up a phone system or a camera system at all. That's a very small portion. Now, there's the walk-in repairs, which is a big part of it. And this is the thing with like the YouTube censorship thing that really drives me nuts, because as I said, I don't consider myself like a professional YouTube content creator, like somebody who does it full time.
Yeah.
But I have multiple streams of income from actually making YouTube videos, which all these people bitching about censorship they're not bothering at. So they're saying I'm a professional content creator and I can't, and this is censorship because I can't make money because I can't click a button and get paid. So I have the YouTube videos, which I've said I think makes anywhere usually $40 to $60 a day. It used to be 40 to 80, now it's down like 40 to $60 off of the YouTube.
Yeah.
Then there's the Amazon affiliate thing, which I'm not considering real revenue yet, just because I haven't gotten my first payment, and I know better than to consider something revenue until it shows up.
Yeah.
So I got that. There's a lot of people were asking me, what equipment do you use? What do you use for this? What do you use for that? And I used to see it as annoying. But what I started doing is I tried to figure out how can I turn something that's annoying into something that can benefit me. Yeah. So rather than get annoyed by it, by being asked the same question 50,000 times, because by the 10,000th time you've answered it, it's annoying. Yeah. I just put links for everything. So I'd say, okay, if this person decides to buy it, I get paid. That's a great little source of revenue. That makes more than YouTube already, assuming I actually get it in the bank account. There's I have a forum where I answer questions for people who want to fix MacBook motherboards. It's a paid forum. You don't get to see anything or post anything until you've already paid. It's $29 a month. It's got about over 120 members right now.
Damn.
And I have a real engineer, not like I'm a hack engineer. I'm like let me figure this out at 1 a.m. without an education. I have a real engineer posting there answering a lot of the questions, and we split it 50-50. So that's a decent source of income. And what else is there? And there's also sales of just small little items. So there's stuff that I link to on Amazon, but then there's stuff I can't link to. Like people go, "What flux do you use? Where can I buy it?" And I look and I scroll through, and it's like, you're going to get Vaseline if you buy from this vendor. They're not. Because I bought it from that vendor, and it's like, this is a great deal. I buy it off Amazon or eBay, and then they send me a fucking tub of like Chinese tears or something. So I started selling that, and that was a decent source of revenue. So there's selling flux and some of these small little items. There was, which is not bad. I think it's probably like 10 or 20,000 this year in revenue. Probably like 50 or 40% of that is profit. Not bad. There's that. There's Amazon. So it really got to me when a lot of these individuals were saying, well, you don't understand. I'm a professional YouTube content creator, so if they take away the ad revenue, that stops my ability to make money off my video. And I'm just thinking to myself, bullshit. Because I am not a professional YouTube content creator. This is something that like I shove the camera up while I'm at work. I put no effort into fucking editing these videos or, caring about production quality or like getting this shit off the wall. I don't do any of that. I don't, most of my videos, if I do edit them or put them together, it's like I'm on the train at 1 a.m. at the end of my day with my laptop, and I'm just, I'm stitching them together, and then I render them at home. Wow. And then you have all these people that are, and I'm able to make these 4 revenue streams off of it. One of them totally independent from YouTube. Yeah. And then I see these people saying, "Oh, well, you don't understand. I'm doing this full time." No, I do understand. You are doing it full time. So why is it you have 1 stream of revenue off of your content when I have 4 streams of revenue off my content, and you're professional and I'm not? That drove me nuts. But the other one, the last piece was teaching. So I also this is not something I ever wanted to do. I'm not a teacher. I honestly don't have a high level of patience when teaching. Like I know that I was dating somebody who had a master's degree in teaching, and she was explaining all the things you do when somebody doesn't get something. I just say, okay, here's how this works. And okay, if they don't understand, I'll go, okay, put your hand, put your finger on the line on the screen. And they'll go, okay. And I go, now follow that line of where it goes. And if they can't follow the line on the screen, the teacher's supposed to do something at that point. I just say, no, follow the fucking line. He's like, I don't get it. I'm like, follow the fucking line or I'm giving you a refund. I'm not a teacher. But a lot of people were saying, at one point last year, in the beginning of last year, on the live chat, I had like 5 people a week saying, I'll give you $1,000 a day just to sit next to you.
Damn.
And
really?
I really didn't want to get into that because I had a feeling that a lot of people thought that it was like osmosis. It's not learning. It's Lewis has the secret, and once I know the secret, and once I've seen the secret, then I'm going to be able to do everything he does. There's no secrets, dude. You got to learn. So I had some people show up that just genuinely were amazing. They showed up with knowing very little. They left probably doing better than I am. One of my 3 best examples, probably Drew Titus, who took the class, Andrew Boren, Sean Hicks. There were some people that showed up that just knew little, and at the end of it, they were just fixing boards left and right. Bam. And then I had people show up that didn't know what a fuse was, and I spent 45 minutes explaining the concept of a fuse before we moved on to everything else. Yeah. They didn't know what a fuse was, and I couldn't explain it. It's like, how do you own an electronics repair store? Why do you not know what a fuse is? Oh, wow. Huh. I don't care that you're paying me. I'm still gonna be myself and ask this question. I mean, I sent you, and I also send all the students this 120-page document that explains all of this stuff with pictures, size 48 font, very kindergartenish. I had students that showed up that never read it, and then I said, okay, when you come next week, you got to read this. They still never read it, and then so that's a form of income. It starts at $600 a day and goes down if you want to book, let's say, a week or so. So that was a form of income that was pretty good. But it's not something I want to do long term, just because it's weird when somebody pays you to learn something and then they show up and they say, I don't want to do this. I don't know how to process that.
So how many do you have? Multiple people come per day, or is it just one person per day?
We used to teach 8 at a time, 8 to 12 at a time. So I used to do a class with Jessa Jones at iPad Rehab. We were splitting it, and 8 to 12 people would show up. It was $2,000 for a 1-week-long course. And I did that for about a year, and then I started teaching one-on-one because I thought that people would understand better if I taught one-on-one. And my idea was if I spend a week with you and you don't understand it and you're in a class of 8 people, I can feel a little guilty. But if I spend a full week with you one-on-one and at the end of it you don't know what a fuse is, then there's no guilt for me there. Yeah. So that was one. And when you're teaching with a class, if somebody gets something and somebody else doesn't, if I continue moving, that one person doesn't get it and they give up. Yeah. If I start explaining to that one person what's going on, then the person who understands everything falls asleep and he gives up. Yeah, yeah. So that's why I just started to. I wanted to do one-on-one. So that's something I've been doing this year. What I did is I made my website much more scary than it was before. I'm not sure if you want to bring it up on screen for viewers. I made it a lot more scary so that I would stop getting people showing up that said, I don't want to do this, or, oh, I have to solder another thing. Like, if you hate this and you don't want to learn it, then... Because I had people showing up that didn't have their own stores, that didn't have their own businesses, and people that were just... They weren't people that thought that this entire point of this was supposed to be for somebody, let's say, like you had your own computer repair shop and you had a bunch of people coming in with liquid damage stuff and you had some knowledge, but you didn't want to outsource anymore. That's what this was for. Yeah. This wasn't designed for somebody who, I guess, like worked at a donut shop and thought, oh, I think this will be a great way to make money if I just learn it real quick, who thinks that after one day of sitting with me, they'll go from donut shop employee to fixing motherboards. Yeah. But I was getting a lot of the latter, so I tried to do pretty much the opposite of what all these universities like ITT Tech do, and scare the fuck out of you before you come. It even says for the scheduler, because I would get calls from people saying, how do I use the scheduler? I don't understand. I just want to book. Just book me. And I go, if you can't use the scheduler, I can't teach you board repair. Huh. How do you expect to learn the difference between VCCIO and VCore if you can't click a button on an online calendar?
So then what is your action? Because like I said, that's one of the problems I've run into with this whole YouTube world is kind of the same way with Everyman IT. The idea was supposed to be professionals, and then you get a lot of noobs. Like, for the people who come into your classes, what do you figure the breakdown is? How many of them are actually professionals versus people that really don't know much of anything?
50-50. And
50, really?
One of my best success stories was somebody who is... He always emails me and says the pizza guy, because I refer to him all the time as the pizza guy. Yeah. His name is Drew, and he was the assistant manager at a pizza store, and then he started working at a recycling company and took my class. He has his own business now. He's doubled his income. He's getting clients from all over the place. But it's because he didn't see this as something where I'm going to take a one-day course and I'm magically going to understand everything. He sat down in front of my videos for 5 hours a day for a month. He bought a bunch of shit to work on, to experiment on. He understood that this was something that takes time to learn. Yeah. He didn't just see it as like, I'm gonna sit next to Lewis for a day and all the secrets will become apparent and I will go from being, making pizza to fixing boards. Yeah. It's the latter category that I'm trying to scare away from this, the people who think they're gonna learn through osmosis with no effort. And like that, so there are people that understand. I don't even mind if you don't have a lot of experience, but you have to understand that it is a craft, and like any other craft, getting good at it is not figuring out one secret and then exploiting it to magical fame. Yeah. You have to be the type of person that at 1 a.m. when you wake up to go to the bathroom, at the same time that you go into the bathroom, you're kind of like, if there wasn't a short to ground on that line, then why was it 0 ohms? Like, you have to be the type of person that's thinking about that when you to actually succeed. Because if you're not, you're going to get your ass kicked by all the people who do actually wake up at 1 a.m. going, fuck, why did that long screw damage not work when I repaired all 6 of the traces? Yeah. Like, if you don't have that mindset, you're just going to get owned by the people that do.
So when the people that go through your classes, I mean, can they get jobs, or is it basically consultants?
Hell no. That's the thing. It literally says it on the website. I gotta find this so I can read it. Because I don't think I could say it better than I actually did on here. It literally says, here we go. If you are at a point where you've lost your job, need to pay your mortgage, and want to spend your last $1,000 with me because you think it will fix everything, bold, this is not for you. There are much better ways to spend that last $1,000. And I'm being honest there. There's no repair shop is hiring for this type of stuff. Virtually none of them are. Yeah. They train from within, or they find, I don't know what they do, but you're not going to go online and find it. The whole point was, if you have a stream of income already coming in off of refurbishing these devices, or for customers, or for yourself, then this will help you. So if you're a recycling company and you have 100 phones or 100 MacBooks coming in per week, that you would otherwise have sold for scrap metal value, this is great. if you're somebody that has never, or if you're somebody who has a store, like this one that has all these NYU students and new school students with beer on their machines coming in, and you have no way to, and you have no way to fix them, but you know that there are people willing to spend money to fix them. Yeah. This is great. If you work at a donut shop and say, I want to get a job in tech, and you take this is that is the wrong fucking way to spend your money. And anytime I can, anytime somebody calls or emails, I can't tell you how many people I've just outright refunded or said no to. Some people wind up sneaking by anyway, but I've refunded so many people. I told them to go because this is not for you. There is no job. I'm not going to lie to you and say that there is a job. I'm not going to lie to you and say that once you know this, that it's going to be hunky-dory. You need to have a client base first. You need to have a monetization method first. Once you have a monetization method, and I know that within a few months you can make back 10 times what you paid for my course, I'll let you come. But if I don't think that you can make back 10 times what you paid for the course through your current monetization system, I don't want you showing up for this. It's going to be bad.
Do you get enterprise customers? Do you get like anybody from the equivalent of IBM or HP or anything like that coming to your things?
I haven't, but there is a company that's really well known that a lot of companies have referred people to for data recovery. I don't want to say the name of it, but they did send a student to Jess's course. Not to mine, but to Jess's course. And some of their locations are great. Some of them literally put the phone in the oven, crack the ICs, and charge $1,200 to $5,000 for data recovery. They literally put it in an oven. There's solder balls popping out everywhere. It's disgusting. So what really surprises me is how many companies that are really, really large, are literally doing the exact same shit that we are. Like, I remember talking to Jessa once on speakerphone with the only person at Drive Savers. And if you don't know Drive Savers, any of the audience doesn't know Drive Savers. Like, they're the companies that charge upwards of $40,000, $20,000, $10,000 for data recovery. Like, they're the guy he was a nice guy, knowledgeable guy. He's like, oh yeah, I love your videos. I was thinking of taking one of your courses sometime. And I'm like, what? Like, fucking Drive Savers. I'm supposed to be going to you. And I'm supposed to be going to you when I need you to decrypt the phone for the NSA or something. I don't know. But it's like, that's... It really surprised me how few people know the common failure modes for some of these devices. And as more and more people store more and more sensitive data on them, it's going to become more and more important. Because nobody backs anything up. I mean, it doesn't matter that bandwidth is going up and storage is going up. Nobody backs anything up.
It's supposed to all go to the cloud. So then, how did you learn all this stuff way back? What are you doing, Chihuahua? How did you learn all this stuff back? I guess not that long. Like, when did you start actually doing hardware repair then for Apple? Yeah. Apple hardware repair.
Apple hardware repair in 2008, 2009. I started getting more into the component level stuff seriously in 2014. I was outsourcing it all to this one company that they screwed up a lot of stuff. And some stuff they did was absolutely amazing in China. And some stuff they did was just junk. And I used to say, these guys are idiots. But then I would reflect on that statement. And I would think to myself, I just called them idiots, but they know how to do stuff that I don't know how to do, and I'm paying them and sending them shit halfway across the world to do it because I can't. So if they're an idiot, what does that makes me? What does that make me? That makes me much stupider. So I said, I'm gonna figure this out, and we're not gonna outsource to them again. And my employees kind of looked at me with that look like I'm not allowed to laugh in your face, but if I could, I would. Yeah. And they're like, they had the smirk and everything, and they just turned around because they didn't want to laugh. And I'm like, no, seriously. And then they're laughing even more. And I don't have I didn't have a history in doing component level board repair for this stuff, but I did work on a lot of electronics for Avatar Studios, broadcast equipment, compressors, equalizers, channel strips for consoles. Yeah. There's a lot. So the troubleshooting mindset is the same, but the actual circuitry is totally different.
So you've only been doing what you show on your videos for a year and a half, 2 years?
I would say 2014 is the year that I became competent at it. Before that, it was just guessing, and I'm confused. And so really the videos that you see is actually kind of the journey of me going from idiot to knowing what the fuck I'm doing.
Really? But so, I mean, out of all the stuff in technology, it seems like this would be about one of the harder ways to actually start making money. I mean, you hear a lot of people that start making money off of web design or other IT services, sitting there and trying to figure out how the hell to make an Apple motherboard work again. Seems a bit difficult. What got you down to actually go on that track?
Well, in 2008, I was working at Avatar Studios in a different studio, and I stopped working at Avatar because it was one of these really large places where you're just kind of a cog in the machine. And I learned so much from that place. I had experiences there that I'm probably never going to have for the rest of my life, and lots of good learning experiences. But I didn't feel like I was really contributing much. If I left, it wouldn't make a difference. So I went to work at a smaller place. The smaller place went out of business in the end of 2008. And I had, so this was entirely an accident. None of this was by a plan. I wanted to be a therapist, but that's for another video. So I bought a MacBook on eBay so that I could finish a session that I was doing at the smaller studio since I didn't have Logic, and it came broken because it was a piece of shit from eBay. I fixed it, and then I wound up selling it because I was able to use somebody else's machine, and I made $200. And I'm thinking, just lost my job where I made virtually no money, but I just made $200 for like 20 minutes of work. Let's try this again. I bought another one and I sold it. I'm like, I just made $260. That's not bad. Now, eventually I realized the buying and selling thing wasn't good because it was too much risk. So I just started offering service to people, and which is literally just nothing but broken screens, just the most basic crap in the beginning of 2009.
Really? Wow.
So I said, this is the price for this model. This is how long it will take. And yes, it is a new screen. Because the three biggest concerns customers had with other stores is they would take forever, they would buy a used screen, and they would charge a different amount of money than what it said on the website. So I just had an ad doing that, and I was making like $1,000 a week in no time. In 2009, doing nothing but replacing screens on stupid Apple computers. That was it.
Damn.
And then eventually people started bringing me other type of stuff. And in 2008 and 9, people were willing to spend money on fixing this old crap because they didn't have money to buy a new one. Yeah. If it broke, it's like, I don't have a job. I'm not going to buy another $1,000 machine just because I screwed up something. Yeah. I'll let this 20-year-old in basketball shorts fix it for $150. But so more and more people were bringing the liquid damage stuff in. And somebody referred me to this vendor in China that does component level board repair. Okay. And it was great. You pay $50 to $90 and they fix it, and it was great in the beginning. And as time went on, it got more and more annoying. I'm not sure if it's because our standards went up in terms of once I opened a store, people expected faster turnaround times, and I can get mailing something to China for some dude to do what I'm doing.
So it was literally to China. Like you actually mailed the laptop to China and they mailed it back again?
I mail a motherboard to China.
Okay, yeah, okay.
And that in and of itself was just a mess. Sometimes it would work great, sometimes it wouldn't. Again, over time, they got slower and slower. And I honestly, the thing is, I kind of understand. This stuff isn't easy. Figuring out why, where this wire is supposed to go. And when they have all these other customers that probably have, three little slaves working away at as fast as they can for $1 a day, that's got to be difficult. So as time went on, it just became a crappier and crappier relationship. And I figured I can do better than this. And it was one of those things where everybody's like, that this doesn't make sense. You're charging $300+ for this service, and these people are willing to do that service for under $100, where you don't have to invest in equipment or learn. And you don't, and how the fuck do you know what chip does what? How do you know why this isn't working? And I looked and I said, I have no idea, but I'll figure it out. And famous last words, I guess. I expected it to be a complete waste of time.
Really? Okay. So then how did you figure it? Because I know now you watch your videos and you've got all the diagrams and all that kind of stuff. But where did you even find those? How did you even know where to start with all that?
That's one of the big problems. Even if you find the site that sells the schematic, they don't sell you the file that shows you where those components are on the motherboard. And that was a big issue in the beginning, is I'd have the schematic, and it's like, okay, so R7005 is where I want to check. Which one is R7005? Which one? Show me. Yeah. So once I figured out that I could actually find that file, that was amazing. There was this one group that I'm not going to say the name of because you have 700,000 subscribers, and one of them is probably ICE. Excuse me. Yeah. But yeah, I joined this one group. I PayPal'd away, $100-something bucks. I expected to not get it back, and I got a login to an FTP server, and it's like, oh, this is like the holy grail. This is like everything. Wow. So I grabbed it, and I had it, but I still didn't know what a lot of the stuff did. And that was where you just have to sit, and you have to make your associations. Why does this happen? Why does this happen in what order? It's like solving a puzzle, and you're going to get a lot of it wrong. And a lot of the help is from the fact that liquid damage, it physically shows on a certain area. So I would start associating what signals are missing, what signals are present, what is the behavior, where is the damage. And then I would start figuring out what each thing did, and then it's just a lot of guessing and assuming that your guess is correct even when it isn't. Damn. You have to work on an assertion, and that's that. So this was an accident. It wasn't like I wanted to, be in tech. I wanted to pay my, rent and live independently, and that was that.
So then, but where do you buy the parts though? So that's how you got the schematics. But that's why, because I had looked at doing more of that kind of repair back when I had my shop, but figuring out where to buy all these parts, and especially of any kind of quality that you would trust working on, can be a bit of a pain.
Donor boards from AliExpress and Alibaba. These are full donor boards, missing the RAM, missing the CPU. Before I started advertising all this horse shit, you could buy for $12. Now it's up to like 23, 25.
Yeah.
I really got to stop telling people where to buy stuff. It's fucking up my inventory. But I buy most of my donor boards, and if there's a component that I'm regularly using, I'll go to Mouser or DigiKey, and I'll buy them. Some are standardized, and you can buy them. Some of them Apple keeps out of circulation so that you can only buy them through the less legitimate means via these Taiwanese and Chinese vendors. And some of them you just can't buy from anybody. I either take it off another board or I'm screwed. But most of the stuff is just basic stuff of donor boards. These boards are what make everything possible. If I want to guess, if I have a theory and I want to test that theory, it's not let's buy some stuff from Mouser and wait till it gets here. Oh, that's not it. Okay, let's test theory number 2 a week later when more stuff gets here. It's let's try this. Nope, that didn't do it. Let's try this. Nope, that didn't do it. That did it. So having donor boards is really important. That's a big part of it.
Do you run into any issues, especially New York State and New York City, land of the regulations, since you're using donor board equipment with not selling new parts? Does that run into any issue then?
Well, I tell people I'm fixing your old motherboard, so I sell it. Now, a big issue here is one of the lessons you learn is what people hear versus what you say. So I will say, we are repairing your old motherboard. And right in front of me, they'll say, okay, so you're replacing it. And I go, what? What? Like, you know the little grade A under A dude? It's like, what? And like his eyes get all angry. Like, I'll do that same thing. I'll go, no, I said, we will be repairing it. And then what really gets me is when this happens in text. So on rare occasion, we'll use email for communication instead of in person. I don't like using email. I prefer in person or on the phone. But we'll do it over email, and we'll say, yes, motherboard repair will cost this much. And they'll go, okay, so you replace my board for like, I don't know if you're just fucking with me or if it's something because they're like almost the same amount of letters in the same language, but like, because it starts with the same letter, but people really think I said replace. But so that was an issue in the beginning. Now we know to like hammer ahead and say that it's repair over and over again.
Do they sign a contract when they come in, like any kind of, so they know it's a repair or any information like that? Yeah. So we're very upfront that we're fixing it, and if somebody asks, "What are you doing to fix it?" I'll actually usually have an example, and I'll say, "I am going to run a bunch of little wires on your board and dump it in a bunch of green shit," and I use the word shit, not conformal coding, and pray that it works again. And the thing is, sometimes people can't tell if you're kidding or not. I don't know if it's like the charm of not knowing if you're kidding that allows it to work. But I'll say that, and they'll laugh and go, okay. But I make sure to be upfront and honest. I am not going to tell you that I'm giving you a new one. I am Frankensteining your old one. That is, I make it. I don't try to put lipstick on the pig. I'll show them the wires. I'll show them the me drilling shit out. This is all on YouTube. Like I'm like, does this matter? No, it doesn't. Fuck it. I'm removing it. Like people know what they're getting. It's good work. It's going to last. It's going to do what it's supposed to, and you'll never know that I was there. But it's not a new one. So what kind of warranty do you give for your stuff, your repairs?
I give usually a 1 year on everything, a 3 month on board repair, just because I would give a 1 year on board repair. The reason I don't is because of all the crappy Apple GPUs that fail. So I can fix something totally unrelated. I could fix the power issue. You're the only one who has a graphic. You bought the right model. You bought the 2013-14 Retina where the GPU surprisingly doesn't fail. But for all the other ones before it, after it, like the graphics chip would fail. And when the graphics chip fails, then that's a chip that I really can't buy new. So even though I have the machinery to replace it, I can only buy these piece of shit ones that I can't, that work worse than the one that was on the board. So I give a 3 month warranty. If it's something that is doable and fixable, I'll fix it. Honestly, I'll fix it even a year and a half later if it's not that you spilled water on it. And I have done that before. Like if it's one component or this, that, or the other, even 15 months out of warranty, I don't care. But if you have a dead graphics chip, it's just like, I'm sorry. So that's why I keep a 3 month warranty on it.
So if you've been so successful with electronic repair, why are you not now in college getting your stupid little piece of toilet paper so you can be an electronics engineer?
I can't. It's not something that I say I can't because it's like, that's my preconceived notion. I'm just bad at school. I had a 72 average throughout most of high school. I almost failed out of high school. I had to cheat to pass my Regents. I got a 58 on my Regents. That's including cheating for chemistry. I failed out of chemistry in college. I failed out of pre-calculus in college. I went back to college 3 times and I consistently failed. I don't learn the same way other people learn, and I'm not sure why or what it is, but I can't. I don't learn. I could never even get to the point of taking my major in something, and that was back when I had time for college. This was back before I was running a business. So a big problem when you run a business is once you know that every second you're spending in college is a second you could spend building something else, it takes away your attention. So if I know that I could be here building a YouTube channel, I know that I could be here stacking money for myself, fixing boards, or building my business, I don't want to be sitting in a class learning about sociology or history. So before I even had that pressure, I was not able to do well in school. So,
do you think can you go to like training courses? Like I know you were talking about like learning coding or whatever. Do you think you would do well in a boot camp or something that? No,
I would suck in a boot camp. I'm not. Okay. I remember trying to get. I couldn't even learn CPR AED in a boot. I had to become a lifeguard. You have to go through CPR AED. I failed CPR AED 3 times. I kept killing the doll. Like if somebody's dying, I don't mean to be rude to them, but they're better off just with me watching them and saying, "Keep going, you're doing it," than me actually like doing this. I'll kill them. Not because I mean to, but I'm not good at learning things in a fast-paced environment. And one of the things I try to do with YouTube is I try to teach to people the same way that I learn. So one of the most discouraging aspects to me of learning is that they assume that you know what they know. The teacher forgets what it's like to be at the beginning where they don't know anything. And the second frustrating aspect is when they're explaining a new concept, they don't explain all the backstory to it. So I tried to do the YouTube videos where you can pick up, you can, whether you start a video 1 or 300, when I start talking about the one-wire circuit, I'm not just going to say, and the one-wire circuit, this, that, or the other. I'm going to say, here's what that does and why we need it before moving on. I don't make a jump to the assumption that you know what that is. But yeah, I suck at just college and general education. I'm trying to teach myself a programming language now, and I get to a point in the book, it's like, I got 2 books. I got the C programming language, which is supposed to be like the hard one, and then I got an idiot-friendly book with like funny comics and pictures. And I'll get to a point where I get it. Okay, well, why'd you do that? And then I'll read back, and they don't tell you why they did that. I'm just supposed to know. Yeah. And like the rest of the world will read that and go, oh, I know why they did that, and I don't. And it's just annoyingly frustrating, and it drives me nuts. But I don't learn the same way other people do, so no college for me.
Yeah, that seems to be working for you. So then with the Apple stuff, when I see you repairing things, like, and you just brought that up with the GPU, I know you love to bitch about Apple. Are Apple's new products as bad as the old ones? Because I mean, I know that from my shop back in 2009, Apple products, the equipment does seem worse than, frankly, the equipment that I use now. How are you seeing it? Like, are these Retina MacBooks dying?
They make certain models that are absolutely amazing, and then they make some that are complete shit.
Yeah.
So, for example, yours is a good one. That does not have any of the issues with the graphics chip that the one the year before it does.
Yeah.
The year before it, the GPU dies on all of them. The year before that one, the graphics chip dies on all of them. The year before that one, the 2010 model, the graphics chip doesn't die, but there's this frame buffer circuit that has a capacitor die in it that then causes the graphics chip to look like it's dead. The year before that, and here's the thing that drives me nuts with Apple, because they're so great at innovating. They're so great at like pushing the boundary forward and encouraging everybody else to catch up. They were the first to get PCI Express SSDs popular. They got having high-resolution screens popular. I mean, in 2012, who else was using 25 whatever by 1600 screens in a $1,000 13-inch laptop? Nobody. They're good at that. But what frustrates me is when they take a machine, like in 2009, they call it a unibody, one enclosure. They have 2 pieces of metal that are glued together in the supposedly unibody machine, and they have fans shooting out hot air directly into the part that's glued together. Why? Like, you had so much potential, and you just So the modern stuff, in terms of the phone, with the 6 and the 6 Plus, they obviously fucked up big time with that Touch IC thing. Yeah. Like, again, you drop it from here to here, whoops, it's dead. There's the Mac Pro from 2013-14, they seem like they've been having a lot of GPU issues with the Fire Pro ones. Okay. The Retina machines are actually pretty solid. And right at the 2013 mark, the Airs became like incredibly solid. Like the Airs have besides really poor liquid resistance, I can't say anything about the Air hardware.
So do you think they're getting better, or do you think in like 2017 they're just going to go off the cliff again as far as quality is concerned?
I think it's a trade-off, is that they're constantly innovating and changing designs, and they're willing to go where other people haven't gone. Yeah. But at the same time, they're new flaws. It's not like it's going to end. I predict that, the next time they come out with this new radical design change, there's going to be a huge flaw in it. It's like, if you look at, let's say, Lenovo's high-end ThinkPads, they don't really innovate that much. It's the same shit from 2004 to now. They make these small changes. Now, granted, there are things like changing the trackpad. Did you just get kicked in the balls by a dog?
Yeah. Hold on 1 second. Let me get the dog. Yeah. Dear, are you here? Here. I need you to deal with it. Go. Hey. Go on. Go. I'm doing a show.
Eli get kicked in the balls by a dog.
There we go. There we go. The fun of doing live shows.
Yeah. Like with other manufacturers, there's not a lot of change that happens. Like besides them screwing up the trackpad and trackpoint design, and there's like these really tiny iterative changes with the ThinkPad. Let's say from 2004 through 2012, like really small changes each year, nothing radical. With Apple, like they'll just reinvent the wheel and change everything upside down.
Yeah.
And the upside is innovation. PCI Express SSDs, ridiculously high resolution screens, super thin machines. The downside is that it's an untested design that they're pushing out as fast as possible, and that's why you get all these failing graphics chips and machines that crumble. So like the Retinas are pretty good right now.
Okay. Yeah.
I wouldn't buy one with a graphics chip personally, but again, they're pretty good, except for the lack of liquid resistance, and the Airs are really good. The 12-inch one, I don't know. Again, it takes usually a couple of years to figure out what's going to be the common failure mode on it, but there always is one.
So with that, I mean, with these Apples now, and like as far as your business is concerned, like if you look at what Apple's doing, kind of like what you're saying, they're gluing more and more things together. Again, like in 2009, we could do a lot of repairs that I just don't think we could do now, even if we wanted to. Do you think you're going to get to the point where Apple is just going to glue the damn things together and be done with it?
Eventually, it may happen.
Yeah.
And the thing is, as each generation becomes somewhat less fixable, it's less fixable, but it also opens up an opportunity for the people who are willing to do that. So, for example, with the MacBook Air, they went from having a screen that's screwed in, easy, to having a screen that was glued in with diffusers behind it. Now, if you want to unglue that screen and remove it, there's a chance of scratching the diffuser. That chance of scratching the diffuser is one additional barrier to entry for a Craigslist person to do the job over somebody who knows what they're doing. So it continues to add these barriers to entry that you can either see as a negative, as I don't want to do this anymore, or as a positive, as this now brings us a more exclusive and higher valued service that other people can't offer. Now, eventually, it is going to become something where I don't want to fucking do this. I mean, like, for example, glass-only repairs on phones. You know, I have a lot of arguments with people over this. I have no interest in that. I really have no interest in sitting there with like $30,000 of machines and delaminating an LCD to a phone to perform a service that when I tell somebody it's going to be over $60, they look at me like I have three heads. I'm not going to, like, I drove myself nuts to offer this, but I can charge $200 to $500 for it. And at the same time, I'm thinking, I'm using my brain. It's kind of fun. It's like a puzzle, but like doing the same shit over and over again for a low amount. Like there are some things where I will say, screw it. I have no interest in doing this anymore. And there are some things where I see it as an opportunity.
So you're focused on Apple now, but now with Microsoft finally pushing out higher-end laptops and equipment, I mean, again, you're always snarky about Apple. Do you fix Surfaces or any of those type of things?
Hell no.
Hell no.
No, nobody owns a Surface. That's the only time I ever see in a Surface is in an ad. You know, in like a bus, like one of the ads by a phone booth or a bus stop. I've never seen a real Surface in my life. I mean, I've never seen one, like somebody actually using it. I'd love proof that these actually sold, but I just don't see people using them. And then I'll see like people online that use them and say it's crap. The reality is that in around 2007, Microsoft released Vista, which was one of the worst user experiences imaginable. I remember on these machines, I would try to download a different web browser, an Internet Explorer. I would just click it, and it would be on a new machine, and it would take 10 minutes for Internet Explorer to open from the time that I clicked it. Windows Vista wasn't bad. It was unusable, and it made a lot of people say, fuck this, I'm moving away from Microsoft forever. Then Windows 8 came out, and they just kept kicking them in the balls. It's like, oh, you thought we fixed it with 7? So there's a lot of people that use Apple products that will never use anything else because Apple provides a very cohesive user experience. It's not for everybody. And this is one thing I think people get wrong. They think that I tell everybody not to use Apple. I criticize the stupid shit they do with their hardware design. That doesn't mean that I'm saying you shouldn't use it if it makes you productive. I criticize them not because I want to see them go out of business because I'm like a 14-year-old fanboy on a blog site. It's because I want to see them do better. It's the same thing with Lenovo. Like I shit-can Lenovo constantly for the fuck-ups they made in the past 2 years because I want them to actually do better. And with Apple, like they really do make a user experience that makes sense for a lot of people. Like, where everything just works out of the box. And I believe in the vision that Steve Jobs had, which is that computers should be used for people to be productive, in addition to just being something that nerds like to dick around with.
Yeah.
And there are a lot of people that will never use anything else. They will never use anything else, and because of that, it's a good target demographic to have. It doesn't matter if a PC becomes $50 for the same product you would get with a $1,000 MacBook Pro. There are people that will still say, "Yeah, I get it's the same specs for $50 that I could get for $1,000, but I'll take the MacBook." And and Microsoft, that's Microsoft's fault. That's Acer's fault for all the cheap ass shit they made. That's HP's fault for all that bullshit they did with the DV9000. That's Microsoft's fault for Windows 8, Windows Vista, spying on people with Windows 10. I mean, like Apple didn't even have to fucking try. It just took it's. Like Microsoft just kicked himself in the balls so many times. It's almost like Steve Ballmer was shorting Microsoft stock for 10 years that he would see that he's working there. It's.
So yeah, that's one thing I always find weird with people is they get so anti-Apple. Whereas I say I use Apple because the crap just works. Like I turn it on, and yeah.
If something works and if you use it for personal use and it makes you happy.
Yeah.
What the fuck cares what I use? Why would what makes me happy be relevant to you? Or if what makes you productive? If this makes you productive, why would you care what makes me productive if I'm not you?
Yeah.
Like, I will point out the hardware flaws because I see hardware flaws as objective. There's objective and subjective. So subjective is how you use the product. Objective is this piece of shit has fans blowing onto a part that's glued together that doesn't have to be glued together. Or this has a tantalum capacitor that they knew was bad in 2008-9 but continued to use it. Like, or this, or with the retinas with the screens peeling off in 2012 or the graphics chips that die in the 2012 model. But that's objective. I try to stick to what is objective. For the most part, I don't criticize the user interface, the workflow, or any of that because that's subjective. That's a matter where there's like it's very opinionated, and that's really up to what works for the user.
But okay, just making sure my voice actually works here. There's some people who've been complaining my voice, I guess, is a little low. Oh well, this is a test, you people. This is the first time. So okay, so you're dealing with all this stuff. What's that?
You don't have a grape.
I don't have a grape. No, I have whatever this thing. I grape this bottle. I'm sorry. It's like the Apple thing. I watch you with that.
Be happy if I
grape.
took this off.
It's okay. No, I watch your videos, and there's just something. You know how you like watch somebody, you're just like like that grape just annoys the shit out of me. I just can't watch it. Like I'll put them on the audio. I'll put them on in the background. But so with what you've learned with Apple Repair and all of that, if you wanted to, how difficult would it be if you wanted to start doing new equipment? Because that's one thing, like with the Apple stuff, is once you've fixed one 2012 MacBook Pro Retina, you probably have a good idea of how to fix the next one. But if somebody did put a Surface in front of you or some other piece of equipment, could you actually repair things like that in a production environment, actually make money off of unique items? Or
unique items suck. The first thing is schematics and board views. Yeah. So I need to find that. Okay. And a lot of the time they don't exist. Like I have this FLIR cam here, and the guy's so nice, really, really, really nice guy, genuinely nice guy. I left it off a few days ago. He's already asking for status. I don't even have a board view. I don't have a schematic. I don't know how any of this fucking shit is put together. There's one chip in this entire piece of shit that's labeled. The rest of it is unlabeled. Okay. I have he's asking for status, and I don't even have documentation yet. Like, it took me years to find documentation for this stuff. So a big problem is lack of documentation. The second problem is lack of reason Apple is so great for the repairs is they make 2 or 3 new models a year. That's it. So I can buy 3 different donor boards and I'm set. I can't find a donor board for that. Being able to have every single chip that goes on that board, multiple physical copies of every single chip that goes on that board, is what makes this possible. Yeah. If I have a theory, okay, I think it's either this thing that's shorted or this thing. Okay, let's try this. Oh, it wasn't that. Okay, let's try this other one. That's what makes this possible. Or, this is shorted. I'm not sure if the thing before it died or not, but let's replace this. Like, I don't have to wait a week to test that theory. When it comes to a random, unique item, I have to wait a week to test that theory. I have to find donor boards. And in the week that it takes for me to get the stuff I need, I've already gotten 6 customer phone calls going, why is my shit not done yet? Why is my shit not done yet? So in a consumer, so it would be different if I was refurbishing it for my own sales. So with the person I work with on the forum, he doesn't deal with customers. He has no patience with people at all. He just can't. It doesn't work. So he's not a people person. So he buys the stuff from an insurance company, and he fixes it on his own time, and then he sells it. If he fixes it in a day, great. If it takes him 6 months, it makes no difference to him. It's still the same money in his pocket. For me, I need to be able to fix stuff within 24 to 48 hours. If I don't, people lose their shit. So I can't work on these one-off items just because of where consumer expectations are. So consumer expectations have gotten more and more silly as we've gotten more used to as a society. You know, like the Amazon Prime society. Like, I want free shipping that shows up tomorrow. You know, I mean, consumer expectations are a lot different now than they were in 2009, from my experience.
Yeah. Oh. So then, like with the complaints about Apple, the many, 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 many complaints about Apple, can you point to one company that actually does things how you would want them to do it? Like with schematics and being able to buy parts and all that kind of stuff.
Schematics and stuff like that, I would say that almost every pro audio company that exists does amazing work with that. Like, they want you to fix their products. Any of these broadcast companies, besides Blackmagic, screw Blackmagic, like in the pro audio world was entirely different from this. They just gave you schematics to everything. You got a book with everything you worked on. Yeah. When it comes to laptops and designs like that, I would say even Lenovo, I'm not sure if they even do give this stuff out. I'm assuming they don't. But what I do like about them is that for the most part, you don't need them. Buy a T460 and take a gallon of water and spill it into it while you're doing a live stream. It'll just come out little holes in the bottom, go around the motherboard, and still work. Like, if Apple made their stuff the way Lenovo did, I'd probably be working at a donut shop right now. You know.
So then, what is your? So how many employees do you have at this point?
4.
You have 4 employees? I don't know. Sometimes I get confused. Are they all full-time employees?
Yeah. Actually, one of them isn't. It's constantly changing. I have a revolving door of firings, so it's hard to keep count.
So you have a receptionist, a salesperson. Jason, I guess, is your tech.
Mm-hmm.
And then what? Your receptionist assistant? Is that the deal?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So then, what is your plans like going in the future and growth? Are you gonna try to grow the Apple Repair some more, or?
I have no plan. I wanted to be a loudspeaker engineer. Then I wanted to be a therapist. Then I wanted to be a recording engineer. Then I wanted to fix gear for studios. Then I wanted to sell laptops. Then I have no idea how the fuck I got here. But every time I've made a plan for something, it doesn't work. So I've just stopped bothering. Okay. I just figure if I keep involved with doing things, that I'll be better off than if I wasn't. That's my plan.
Okay. So there's no fixing MRI machines or something.
I have no clue. Yeah. I honestly have no idea. I mean, I want to continue growing the YouTube channel. I want to continue fixing stuff at the store. Yeah. I want to continue learning new things. Like, I'd like to see if I can actually learn a programming language. But I don't have a plan. Every time I've had a plan, it fails.
So then why? You seem very ambiguous about the whole profession of being a creator. And your particular audience loves to beat the shit out of me for holy hell. Imagine that Eli says that this guy is actually really good and could make money at this. What's your animosity, or what's your concern with the whole being a professional creator?
Well, the way I see it is I'm about 4 years into that as a project. So yeah. I put that reseller ratings video up sometime around September or October of 2012, and that got about 100,000 views in a short period of time. So there's that. And it's been... You're looking for something, aren't you? The connector? Oh, you'd never find them. They're in the drawer they're supposed to be. That's... so I've been doing it for about 4 years. Yeah. Now, 4 years into it, I make $40 to $60 a day off YouTube. Yeah. So when I think to myself, what else could I have spent 4 years on and put hours of time and effort into every day, learning, working... I mean, I could have gotten an engineering degree in that time frame. There are a lot of things I could do in that time frame if I put the same amount of time in. That would make me a lot more money than the money that I make off of YouTube. So the way I see it, if I'm 4 years in and I make this much money off, there are people that work at a pizza store that make more than that. So it's not like I'm complaining, like, oh, I put all this work in and this is all I get out of it. I do it because I enjoy doing the videos. It's a fun thing to do. It's a fun way to make the day go by faster, and I like watching people learn and getting these pictures from people that said, I fixed this because of you. That's fun to me. Yeah. But in terms of money, it's just, if the money were there, sure, I consider it. But $40 to $60 a day, 4 years in, come on, that's like a communications degree. I make as much off of YouTube as I would if I got a liberal arts degree. So I see content creation to me as, not for everybody, but for me, because I'm as useless as a liberal arts degree. When it comes to money, that's just what it is.
Really, but you don't think about it because you've been pretty blunt about that. You haven't focused on it as a business. I mean, you have Linus. I was just watching his WAN show. Motherfucker, he's up to 15 employees at this point.
He's got a lot of people.
Yeah. So, but you want to see how it goes?
Well, I mean, the thing is, here's what I think. What would if I just got rid of my business entirely? What would I do to make content? What would I do to make content creation more of a focus? This do not disturb button doesn't work. Yeah, but it doesn't. My phone is driving me nuts. There we go. So, what was I just saying? If I were to make content creation a business, what would I do differently? I mean, I do a video every single day. I have over 300 educational videos, over 300 videos just talking about philosophy, business, and life. I have all this following that's going up every day. I mean, what would I do to get more money as a content creator that I'm not already doing? And I don't really see what it would be that I would do. Like for the repair videos, I need a store for that. So I need to have a place where I can work, and I need customers to come in with stuff that I can use as an example. To do the philosophy videos and the business videos, I need to actually be doing business so that I meet with people and that spark the ideas that I talk about in the channel. If I didn't have that, then I would just be talking out of my ass and making stuff up. So, yeah, I mean, it would be one thing if I was doing one video a month and I said, let's focus on this so that I can be real with it. But, producing 30 to 40 videos a month that looks somewhat decent still makes that. I just don't know what I would do differently if I transitioned out of work and into content creation.
We'll get you there. I think I have another 2.5 years on the bet. So
I got an email this morning from a company. They want to pay me $30 to sponsor a video where I talk about their iPhone video game, and it's like, this is being a content creator, really? And again, it's not for everybody else. There are people that made a channel 4 months ago that have 1 million subscribers, like 50 million views a month. I'm not saying content creation isn't real as a job. It is a real job. It's a real job for people who make content that people wish to pay for. So the way I see it is, what can I make off of this? And when I see what I can make off of it, it's not a real job for me. The same way that somebody who works in a donut store that hates electronics, they will probably make as much off of board repair as I do off of content creation. It's like, how are you good enough at it? And I'm not good enough at content creation to make it a professional living. If I was, I'd have a line of sponsors calling me saying, we want to pay money to be on your... But it's not that. I get calls from, the... Like that bullshit ass microscope that I reviewed, and it's like, take our $40 piece of shit and tell everybody why the world should pay $700 for it. Or sponsoring Wondershare data recovery software, where they lie in their AdWords and say that it'll recover data off of a liquid damaged phone, and because they show, if you search liquid damaged iPhone data recovery, I see Wondershare in AdWords, and it's like, bullshit. It's like, how about this? You give me $200 unrefundable, and I will tell the world how software will never recover a shorted C5202. It's like, I just don't get offers that make sense. So I'm not unhappy with the fact that I'm able to get ad revenue off of this. I'm more than happy with all that. It's just, I can't consider what I get paid off of this an income that I can actually do anything with. It's just, it's like play money. I put it into stocks, and I invest in stocks using the money that I get from content creation. But I could never live off of this or consider it a living.
You should look. We'll find a way for you. So how do you find the whole Reddit thing? That's interesting, because you've been on the front page of Reddit twice now.
The irony is, here's what I don't get when I read those threads. I read, oh my god, I want to see this fucking guy again. Oh, I'm tired of seeing this guy again. Why the fuck is this guy always showing up? And it's like, dude, I'm not posting shit here. I didn't even have an account the first time I got featured.
Really?
I don't post my own stuff to Reddit. Okay. Other people post it to Reddit. Yeah. So I'll read through a thread about me. It's like, fuck this guy. I hate this guy. He talks too much. He doesn't edit his videos. What the fuck? A 2-hour-long video? Oh my god, who the fuck's going to watch this? Why is this guy talking again? And I'll read through all this, and I'll be like, why are you watching it? Why are you posting it? Yeah. And that's the part where it kind of made me swing the pendulum back towards, maybe content creation is a thing. 30,000 people hate what I have to say, and they're watching it anyway. Ka-ching. Yeah. But it's interesting, because here's what I've learned about Reddit. Yeah. Okay, so I got featured in the Washington Post. Yeah. Nothing. I think something got in the Chicago Tribune. I may be getting the paper name wrong. I get nothing. I get featured on NBC News. Yeah. On NBC News' website, nothing. I get featured on Reddit, 15,000 subscribers in a day. So So traditional media is just becoming more and more and more worthless. And what like Reddit itself is 10 times more valuable and should be more valuable to anybody than traditional media. If you get on the front page of Reddit, that is the front page of a newspaper. It's not like it's like the front page of a newspaper. That is what the front page of a newspaper was 20 years ago. That's more important. I don't give a shit about getting featured in NBC News. I don't give a shit about being featured in a regular newspaper. I don't give a shit about getting, because I got featured in the Wall Street Journal in 2010 too. I don't give a crap about any of that. I want Reddit. What that taught me, that entire experience, is that Reddit is more valuable than all these traditional media sources, and it's cool. I think it's a cool. And again, there are all the trolls in the site, but the thing is, when I approach it, I don't like say, "Oh, fuck you for saying this about me." What I find is, if somebody has this really miserable 6-page long troll rant about why I'm a piece of shit, and I just reply politely and I just explain my opinion and I understand theirs. A lot of the times, the person who is screaming about why I'm a piece of shit will actually go, "Oh wow, I didn't expect you to actually respond. Thank you so much. I really appreciate you expressing your point of view." So if you do ever get featured on one of these websites, and you have like 2,000 posts and like 500 of them are about why you're a piece of crap, I would just give people the advice of like, don't respond the same way you would if they said that about you in a bar. Because if you try to like keep a high ground with it, it'll help your following and it'll actually help your cause in some way.
That's cool. So do you use, because you did a Reddit AMA too, right?
Yeah, I was the idiot who thought you had to answer every question. I'm a fucking noob.
How long did that take you?
I started it, I think, on like Saturday. Yeah. It was Friday or Saturday, I forget. And I kept answering questions until 4 a.m, and then I went to sleep for an hour or two, and then I woke up and I kept answering questions, and then I got to work, and I just spent the whole day at work answering questions. Wow. It was a slow weekend, luckily. But yeah, I was spent most of the time just. And then somebody messaged me saying, "Hey, dude, you realize that even like Peter Thiel answered 10% of his questions?" And I'm like, "Oh." And then I had, there were like 6,000 to 7,000 posts in that thread, and I got back to damn near every single one of them.
Really? Would you ever do it again then?
Oh fuck no.
Fuck no. Okay.
The world, no. The Reddit knows enough about me as is. They can read through that one. I think I've answered every combination of any question anybody could ever ask.
Yeah. So did you get any help from Reddit, or did you just decide to do an AMA? I don't understand. I've never done an AMA. I've never gone near an AMA. How does that all work?
Well, a lot of people ask me, "You should do an AMA." I bet it would be great if you did an AMA. It wasn't my idea, but then they showed me how to do it. They showed me how to post it, and then I created it, and a bunch of people asked questions.
Okay. Yeah. Wow. So then, going off on your other things that you're doing, so the right to repair bill that you've been working on. How long have you been working on that?
Since 2015. Early 2015.
So how did you get involved with that then? Were you talking with somebody, or was this something you pulled out of your own ass? Or I was
contacted by a firm that was lobbying on behalf of it. So there are people that are doing much bigger things than like this whole laptop repair thing. Like there are companies that are servicing servers that deal with Oracle and all sorts of stuff, and like these large contracts, much bigger than just like fixing one-off laptops, that are losing money because if they change a power supply in a server, the idea is that person with that server has to buy a new license for the software because it's now a different server. It's like, no, motherfucker, it's the same server. It has a different power supply. That's bullshit. Yeah. And some of these servers, and one of the people that I was lobbying with was saying, our systems that are running the email in this building, and if something goes wrong, we have a contract with you, or we will show up. So this directly affects you. And, so I showed up with some of them, and I showed up with my little motherboard with a wire on it. And the funny thing is that when they were explaining everything, they did a great job of explaining everything. They really did, but it didn't resonate with the person because they didn't have that experience. They don't licensing for software and databases is just, but luckily, and here's the part that I absolutely love about the Genius Bar, they helped me so much. I want to thank Apple for this, is that every single one of the assembly people and the senators that I spoke to had a shitty experience with the Genius Bar. Every single one. It was like one of them, they tried to charge him $750. It wound up being a fan that was broken. They saw that there was like a little bit of food in it, so they wanted to charge him for a tier 4 damage because there was like a piece of a peanut or lasagna or something in it. And then went to some other guy on Craigslist to replace the fan for $80. I had every single one of them had a bad experience with the Genius Bar. So I showed up with my little motherboard and a charger that had a wire on it, and I had the wire there, and I said, "This is a $750 board. This doesn't work. This little wire that costs 17 cents is what is allowing the $750 board to work again." This is a document that I would like that tells me where I place that wire. This is what we're fighting for. And I started it with, have you ever been to the Genius Bar before? And if I saw one of them had an iPhone, I dug in. I didn't have to do any work. It's like the Genius Bar just did it for me. Because like, I get it. You know, Lenovo doesn't have stores, Acer doesn't have stores, but for whatever, but Apple does, and they're very snide with how they treat people sometimes. And people remember, and oh man, it just made it so easy. So I went from, and every single one of them supported it, but it didn't go through. And then this year it didn't go through because Apple, IBM, Xerox, and one other company, I'd have to look in my email so I don't get it wrong, all showed up in the same day to intimidate and explain why this is a bad idea. Yeah. And I wasn't there. I was here fixing motherboards. Jessa was teaching. That's the thing. Apple, like, these companies can afford to have a lobbyist go up there every single day and talk. Yeah. I have a business to run. She has a business to run. We can't camp out in Albany for 6 months or 2 years and be there every day because it's not our job. But what I noticed is everybody likes to think that the government doesn't care about us. They're just out to make money. They're corrupt, this, that, and the other. One of these assembly people put off eating his lunch. Yeah. They put off eating. He hadn't eaten all day. It was like 5 o'clock when we got to him. He had not eaten all day. He skipped breakfast. He put off getting his lunch and taking his break so that he can listen to what we had to say. Yeah. They care. It's just that sometimes things just get out of their control, and you do have to put a lot of effort in. And I do realize that the burden is it's my fault. It's our fault for not showing up every day, even though it's versus their fault. They have a lot of other problems to deal with. They have to deal with, they have to deal with foreign relations. They have to deal with, potential war, currency, all sorts of, energy issues, things that are more important than consumer electronics repair. Yeah. So if we don't show up, it only makes sense that they're just going to listen to the person who's there, who's already giving an opinion. Yeah. I don't blame them for going with the lobbyist when the 67-year-old assembly person hears the lobbyist say, when this guy puts a wire on a Mac, he turns it into a PC, and it's now a PC, and he's misrepresenting it as a Mac to his customer, that's bullshit. The lobbyist is full of shit. That lobbyist deserves to be hung and thrown into my basement and just kicked down the stairs. But the thing is, if you're 67 and you don't get technology very well, and he presents that argument, which he did, Apple did say that shit, and they deserve to be in my basement for that. If they present that argument in a way that makes sense, and then he's going to look to his left and go, okay, so what's the counter-argument to that? If I'm present, I present counter-argument, 67-year-old tech illiterate can see that it's bullshit and all is well. If I'm not there, he just goes with the person that bothered to show up. To him, it's like, okay, well, this guy bothered to show up to present his argument, so I'm going to go with that. Because I have more important shit to do. I have to deal with the economy and energy and all this other shit, and he actually wants to get lunch at the end of his day. But... So we're going to push for it again next year. But yeah, we didn't have time to go up again this year, and I didn't even know the date that we were supposed to go up this year, or else I honestly would have taken off and visited.
So this is a group activity? This is being run by a law firm, or who's spearheading this then?
There's a law firm that's lobbying for it, and one of the women involved is Gay Gordon Byrne. Okay. I'm going to get all the names wrong if I don't check it in email. I'm bad at remembering names. I remember people. I don't remember names. But there is a lobbying firm that's doing this, and...
So then so is it pro bono? That's always the question is, whatever side, like who's paying what side?
I have a feeling somebody is paying. It's definitely not me. I didn't pay for this. But and Reddit was useful for getting a lot of attention for that. I mean, the amount of people that wrote letters to their politicians from that trending on Reddit. I would much rather have excuse me. I would much rather have Reddit as a platform than a newspaper.
Yeah. So do you think the state is right? Because that's one of the big arguments now, because my wife's vegan and GMO and all that kind of stuff, and you have a lot of states trying to create these rules, and then there's arguments. This isn't the place for... If every state tries to create their own rule, it's going to be a mess. This should be a federal law. Do you think arguing for this on the state level is the best target, or do you think federal would be a better way to go?
That's a question for somebody who knows about law. I'll be 100%. I know shit about law. I really, I'm not the person to ask that question to. I don't understand the context enough. I don't understand the ramifications enough. One thing I do know is that they originally wrote the bill with some, I forget, it's something like right to collective bargaining or it's something where the individual is allowed to sue the company rather than the attorney general has the right to sue the company. So let's say Apple says, no, fuck you, we don't want to provide schematics anyway, even though this bill came out. The way it was originally written, I believe, was such that the consumer, like I could then make a case against Apple, and then the store down the street could, and that would clog up the court system. So they wanted it to be rewritten so that you would make your complaint to the Attorney General, and then the Attorney General would be responsible, something like that. So the politicians we met with did suggest changes to the bill that did make sense, but again, when it comes to actual law, like I'm not going to pretend to be a lawyer or somebody who can argue any of that or which way it should be.
Do you know, is the law to what you like, has that been passed in any state? Like Colorado or something? I don't know. Is there some place that...
No, because if it was passed in any state, it wouldn't matter that it wasn't passed in mine. Like, if Colorado could get a schematic for the 12-inch MacBook, I would have it, because somebody in Colorado would get that 12-inch MacBook schematic, upload it to the dark side of the internet, and I would have it one way or the other anyway. So if this was passed anywhere, I mean, I'm not saying it's right, but if it were passed anywhere, the person in that state could just share the document with somebody in another state. And the fact that that hasn't happened, I guess, demonstrates that it hasn't been passed.
That's interesting. So then, one of the things you talk a lot about is veganism. How did you become a vegan? Because that's actually rather new, right? Is that like a year? Is that a year ago you became vegan?
About a year or so. Yeah. I just looked in the mirror and I was like, I'm 27 and I look different than I did before. And it's like, oh crap, I'm aging. Oh no, this cannot happen.
Yes, it's horrific to be 27.
Yes, I can't imagine being your age.
Anyway.
That's all I am. But yeah, I changed it over last year. So I tried a few times, but what frustrates me is I tried those commercial juice cleanses where you pay like $15 for this much juice and you're not full. So you try another $15 juice that's this big and you're not full. And then you just wait for 2 hours and then you're hungry again and you're like, screw this, I'm tired of this. Man. And I tried that a few times because I was dating somebody who worked for one of those companies that sells these bullshit vegan juice cleanses. Man. And that really turned me off to the idea because I thought if I eat this stuff, if I decide to go with this diet, I will be miserable. Yeah. And then I tried again and I found foods that I actually liked. And then I realized it wasn't that bad. And I actually like the food that I eat now better than what I ate before. See, logically speaking, I spent 26 years finding foods I liked as a carnivore. Yeah. So if I spend one day trying to find food that I like as this and I say, screw this, it doesn't work, I haven't really given it a fair shake. But now that I have, it's like, I mean, I was never able to do a full body workout before where I could do, let's say, every body part 4 or 5 times a week. I can do that now. I can run home now. I feel better. I spend less money because, in spite of what people say, the meat actually. This is another thing. People think because of the vegan juice cleanse thing that veganism costs more than eating standard food. But throughout history, people who were vegans were usually poor because all they could afford was rice, beans, lentils, and stuff like that. Yeah. So I'm happy with it. I feel better. I honestly, in the beginning, I did not give a shit about the ethics or morals at all. That wasn't what I cared about. So I know I'm probably going to disappoint a lot of vegans by saying that. It was purely from a selfish health standpoint. But the thing that I realized after time went on is I never looked at the ethical or the moral part of it because I just couldn't consider it. It's like, if I do this, I will be miserable. So why even analyze the morals and ethics of it? It's not going to serve me at all. Since if I do that, I'm going to be miserable. I'm never going to be full. It's going to be awful. Just screw that. So I was looking at it from this biased standpoint of if I do it, I'll be miserable. And let's not even just think about the ethics. Then once, like 6 months into it, I realized, I'm in way better health than I was before. I have more energy, and I spend less money. Why am I killing shit? It just it didn't to me. It would make sense if I'm killing something, but. If veganism were the one with the arterial plaque and the health risks and all that, then I would get it because it's like, okay, I'm going to do the moral and ethical thing, but I'll be less healthy. Or I do the immoral thing, but I'm healthy. But it's like you do the moral and ethical thing, and you're more healthy than before. So here's what I try to do with morals and ethics. I try to pretend that I'm a student in the year 10,000 in a history class, and I try to pretend that I'm looking back on what was going on 5 or 10,000 years ago, and from that perspective. So I remember when I was in 2nd grade, I remember raising my hand and going, Mrs. McGoey, excuse me, why did they think that there was a chariot carrying the sun around the earth when there's no chariot next to the sun? Why did people think that? And she would go, I don't know, because that's what they believe. Well, why didn't anybody ask a question? Because if they asked a question, they would get stoned to death, Lewis. Oh. And that's the thing. I look at it. I really try to look, because we have this level of cognitive dissonance that we get to when we have a certain opinion. So what I try to do is I try to picture myself in the year 10,000, looking back on what we're doing, and I just try to think about that student that has a clean mind, that hasn't been biased by anything yet, asking questions. And if I can't give a sensible answer to that kid, then it makes me think about what I'm doing. So I think about it, and it's like, yeah, why was I killing stuff? And it just didn't make sense. And then that's when it became something where I thought about it in terms of morals and ethics. But in the beginning, I didn't care about that at all.
So you had a girlfriend that was doing it, or like, I mean, like what got you?
That was 6 years ago. She worked for an organic juice place, and that was my first interaction with anything related to the diet. I remember trying one of these things, and it's like, I just paid $12 plus tax, and I'm not full. I tried another one. It's like, I just paid another $12 plus tax. Okay. And 2 hours passed, like, fuck, I'm hungry again, but I don't want to pay another $24.
Yeah.
And that's why I don't like any of those commercial vegan juice cleanses, because they're usually people's first, in New York at least, they're a lot of people's first interaction with that type of diet, and they're fucking terrible. They're unhealthy. There's no diet that you should have where you eat and you feel weak, where you eat and you don't feel full, where you're supposed to feel good when you're done. You're supposed to feel energetic. You're supposed to feel full. You're supposed to feel good. If you don't feel energetic, full, and good, and if your diet is bankrupting you, it's a bad fucking diet. And they have this idea that I'm going to go from eating McDonald's and Burger King and horse shit to, but that's okay because I spent a week starving myself. So you go from one extreme to the other. And now you go from one unhealthy diet to but it's okay that you have that unhealthy diet because for 1 week you cleansed yourself with this other unhealthy diet. And I'm going to get a lot of flack for that, but I don't think, I don't care what anybody says, it's not healthy for you if you walk around feeling lethargic, if you're tired, if you want to just pass out at 5 o'clock because you haven't eaten something. That's bullshit. No.
So have you found any tips or tricks or food that makes you feel better when you're doing the vegan thing?
I just try to find a substitute for everything. So I like tempeh for being very filling. I like rice and beans. I like a lot of salt. I know that's probably not the most healthy thing. That's my one vice. Is I like this one herbal salt that I buy on Amazon. There's let's see, I like tempeh. I like rice, beans, guacamole, blueberries. I like potatoes, sweet potatoes, yams. Find stuff that tastes good. For me, I hate salad. That was another reason I never tried it because I hate the texture of salad. I hate the way most salads that are prepared taste. It's just I don't like feeling like I'm eating leaves. It has to be psychological. If you take that and you put it in a wrap and you combine it with some beans, it's something I could eat all day. But when you just put it in front of me in a bowl with a fork, it's like, what the fuck is this? That's another thing that made me not want to try it because I just tried it and it's like this sucks. I can't do this twice, much less 3 times a day for the rest of my life. You just have to find stuff that you like. And the problem is people give themselves a deadline of 2 or 3 days to find something that they like in a new diet. But it took them a lifetime to find 20 years to find what they like in their present diet. I'm not saying take another 20 years to find what you like, but it does take time. And and I think that a lot of people they don't think to substitute. There are so many substitutions you can make where it's not even about meat versus vegetables that are healthier. For example, what would it kill you to eat maple nuts or salted cashews versus rigid, Wise potato chips? Or instead of eating a ho-ho or some, one of those paid desserts that are filled with preservatives, what about blueberries, water, blender, a little bit of vanilla extract? Like, I'm not saying that you should live on that, but there are so many things that people could eat that are healthy or at least not bad for you that taste as good or better than the stuff that's total shit. Like these small substitutions, they go someplace. Because my job is to sit in the microscope, and before I had time for 8 to 16 hours a day, do this all day. I mean, I'm not an Adonis, but I should be much fatter than I am when you consider my job in my field. But it's making these substitutions go a long way towards helping me stay healthy.
So was that about a year ago that you started to be healthy then? When you turned 27?
I feel like I always had a somewhat healthy diet, but I didn't change to veganism until I was November of last year. So, yeah, but I've always tried to I wasn't eating at McDonald's and Burger King or anything like that, or eating ho-hos and Wise potato chips. Yeah. That's not something I've ever done.
And then so you do the exercise routine. So I get a lot of questions about with me running around in circles. What got you? How long have you been exercising for?
I've been exercising since I was a junior or senior in high school. So when I was a senior in h'high school, I was this height, 5'6", but I was 103 pounds. And I have a family history of bad health and anemia and all that. And I didn't want to be 103 pounds anymore. So right now I'm about 161. It took me about a year to gain 40 pounds or so, 30, 40 pounds, and another year to gain the other 20. And if I stop exercising, I don't exercise to get bigger because I know that's just not happening. But I exercise to not go back to 103. Like I went on a vacation a few years ago. When I came back, I was 15 pounds lighter.
Holy shit.
I went from 161 to something like 147, 146.
Yeah.
So if I don't exercise, it's just like I have the body of like a birthday balloon that just like it looks all pumped up and great in the beginning, and then after 2 or 3 days, it's just sitting in the corner all deflated, and people are stepping on it.
Oh.
It's like so I exercise regularly just to not go backwards.
Yeah.
And I just don't. And I also don't want there to be this idea that I am going to be a technician. It's as a technician I have to be out of shape, or I really don't want people to think that to be good at your job, like part of it is to be included in the field is you have to be out of shape. Because I feel like there are so many people that are like that they were used to getting made fun of for being out of shape when they were younger as nerds, and as an adult they embrace it and they accept themselves, which I think is good. You should accept yourself and feel good about yourself, but they're not. But at the same time, you can't just let your body go completely, or you'll be dead by the time you're 50. And I like being able to make decisions based on having energy. If I want to see my friends and the train system isn't working and all the cabs are full, I'll just run there. Oh, it's just say what? It's a mile or 2 miles. It'll be 10 minutes. I'll be there. I like. Well, if it's 2 miles, not 10 minutes, but a mile and a half.
That's
but
good,
I like being able to make decisions based on that. Or even if I just want to get up and get another donor board to see if I have a better quality component than the one next to me. Like all these really small decisions that are like subconsciously based are based on how much energy we have, and I like to make those decisions from a point of having energy. And I like being able to show that you can be good at this stuff, and you can be good at the technical stuff and electronics repair and all that, while remaining healthy. Like, there's a big idea in our industry of like being a real man, or being or not being a pussy. And it's like, well, if I would mention something like soldering fumes, for example, like there are people that will go, "Oh, I like the smell of flux. Oh yeah, the smell of flux is good. Oh, what are you, a pussy?" It's like, well, no, I'm not a pussy. But when I'm 40 years old, I want to be able to walk up the stairs to my apartment without huffing and puffing, which is something I know you can't do.
Yeah.
And but then I'm the asshole, which is why I have my own company and I don't work for other people, because if I did, I would get fired. I don't like these preconceived notions that not being healthy is totally okay just because you work in tech. You can still be good at all this stuff and be the best you that you can be physically, and not have a heart attack when you're 50. And that's what I'm trying to do.
Yeah, that's a sad thing. I see so many people that have gotten into, again, it's that whole fat shaming is bad, but then there's starting to be a lot of this fat pride where it's like, I am proud to be 280 pounds.
I don't want to make fun of people for what they are. I really don't, because I've been there with, again, the opposite way. It's, being 103 pounds has its own set of problems when you're a kid that other people don't like in school. Then and you're a senior in high school. Like, it's like I could get flicked and I would just fall down a set of stairs. But I don't want there to be the big, I hate when people say things like, I'd rather be this way and be happy than be miserable. Because I feel like that is just one of the biggest cop-outs you can say. Or, well, who cares about the last 3 years of my life if I have to be miserable the whole thing? Yeah. I'm sorry, what's miserable about being able to go outside and run? What's miserable about being able to get up and not feeling like I exerted energy? What's miserable about being able to go up 8 flights of stairs and at the end of it feel like I hadn't walked at all? I don't understand how this is miserable. I don't understand how having a balanced diet is miserable. I eat like a pig. I eat all the foods that I want. I eat ridiculous, stupid amounts of food. It's just you eat the right stuff. You can eat as much as you want. It doesn't matter. I do a lot of exercise, but I enjoy it. When I have a day where I lose $20,000 or $30,000 because my back end was set to authorize instead of authorizing capture, I do feel better. Like, the reason I'm able to sleep at night rather than jump off a bridge is because I walked home 7 miles. When I have a day, when I have like a 2 or 3 year long audit that is going to come to an end based on a court date that I have, me going to the gym and lifting for an hour or two, that's helpful. That makes me happy. So I don't like when people say I'm going to be out of shape or I'm going to be miserable. Why? Why have you set those constraints for yourself? I don't understand it.
Speaking of the court date, so what the hell's going on with Apple anyway? Are they suing you? Are they?
No, that's just the result of poor tech press. And I was really.
Yeah.
I got a call from them asking about my YouTube channel and a video and certain content in it, and them not wanting that content in it, and their suggestions that I remove it. Yeah. And I just lost my shit, because I had just gotten done with like a 2 or 3 year long audit, like literally 2 days before I got that phone call, and I'm like, yes. nuts. And then I just said, that just sucked. Because I was like, I'm finally done. I'm finally done with legal bullshit.
Yeah.
But so after that, I just freaked because there's a friend of mine that's had his store invaded by ICE, Immigrations and Customs Enforcement, over iPhone backs. Like the iPhone 4 back had an Apple logo on it. They had people come to the store with guns and full SWAT gear to raid him and take that shit. And then there are other companies that have been shut down over this. So I'm thinking, these companies didn't get a phone call that was happening to them. What's going to happen when I am getting a phone call and I do have this like little target on my head? So now what happened is once they spoke to my attorney told me, listen, they're coming to you very nicely. They don't have a history of doing this, so I think you should take it and just do what they say. And then I spoke to some other people, and I realized, and I don't want to give the names of the individuals, but Good Morning America wanted to do a story on when Apple does certain things like this. And the reason that they couldn't do a story is because there was no proof. Because what happened is they would call, the person would get scared, they would stop what they were doing, and that was it. There was no legal notice, there was no court date, there was no DMCA claim, there was no cease and desist, there was nothing. They did what their lawyer told them. And because they did what their lawyer told them, they were screwed. They thought they didn't have a free choice. So I thought to myself, okay, well, I have a good lawyer, and I trust my lawyer's advice, and he's saying that you should probably do what they say. This makes sense. I'm not sure if this is something that you really want to deal with or even something that you can win. But then I thought to myself, wait, so let's say I hit delete. Then I scrolled to my video. I'm like, I'm going to listen to my lawyer. And I went to YouTube, and I went to my video dashboard, and I went to click delete. I couldn't fucking do it. I don't know what it is, but like, I don't know if anybody here watching does their own YouTube videos. I can't kill my children. Like, I have videos I've done that suck, that are really, they're just bad videos. Some of them are just fundamentally wrong. They're stupid. They came off really badly. I look at them and I'm like, this is disgusting. I can't delete them. I can't delete them. Even though that video makes me look like shit, I have many that make me look really stupid. I can't delete them because I uploaded that. Much less a video that has 1 million views that shows you in 9 minutes how to replace a fuse on a MacBook motherboard when the keyboard stops working. I'm not going to get rid of that. I really tried to delete it. I tried to listen to my lawyer, and I couldn't fucking delete it. So then I thought to myself, okay, so let's say I were to delete that. Where's the proof? I mean, okay, I have a recording of one phone call, right? But who's to say that that wasn't your wife calling me from a burner phone? Really, there's no proof that was. I know it was the law firm. I know for many reasons that it was the law firm, but and my lawyer knows for many reasons that it is their law firm that I'm not going to get into. But what if I were to just release a recording of that phone call? Where's the proof? You know, that's not proof. And what would kill me beyond being able to live with myself is deleting my videos without having a legal notice and having no way to show all the pundits that they actually asked me to do it. Like, I would just crawl away and die. So I sent them a letter back, and my letter said, listen, I understand where you're coming from. If you think that my content showing somebody how to replace a fuse in your product so they can use it again is objectionable, if you don't want people knowing where a fuse is, file a claim, and we'll go from there. Now, if you file this claim, I'll consider working with you. And here's the and if they did file a claim, I would honestly consider removing the video, but obviously re-uploading it with my own schematic that I hand drawn and giving them a big middle finger at the end of it. But I would do what they asked. But the thing with that is, at least there would be a proof. The whole idea there is this guy named Dino that he was a 6'7", 6'5" drug dealer that used to work at that studio that I got kicked out of, that used to keep it clean, make sure that, the right people were there and the people who shouldn't be there weren't there. You would go like, man, if you're going to be the bitch, you be the whole bitch. And the whole idea is don't pretend that we're friends and then don't pretend that we're friends and then ask me for shit that I wouldn't do because I don't like you. Or don't ask me to take down my stuff and but oh yeah, we don't want to deal with the legal issues. No. Let's deal with the legal issues. If you want it down, send me a claim and put your name on it. Sign your name on the fact that you don't want the world to know what refuses in your product. If you want to be the bitch, be the whole bitch. And they never got back to me. I didn't put the Dino's line in the fucking letter. I made it sound professional. But I told them, if you file a claim, if you want the video down, file a claim, like everybody else, so that there's a nice written record online for the world to see. Not so that I can be a martyr or a victim or anything like that, but just so that there's a record. Like, if you want this done, you don't get to do that, but then hide the fact that you did it. I want your name on the delete button, not mine.
So is there a expiration? Like, can they just kind of hold this over your head for, I don't know, years and years and years, or do they have
permanently?
They permanently, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, depending on how the law is, and that's the other thing that I think, I mean, again, I'm going against what my lawyer said here, but I really think that they don't have a case. I think that's why they're coming to me so nice. They're not coming to me so nice because they're my friend and they like me and they care about me. They're coming to me nice because I don't think they have a case. I don't think they want it in court. I don't think, again, if I was distributing schematics, okay. If I was distributing exactly how to put the thing together, fine. I'm showing you 1/4 of 1 page of an 80-page document that shows you where a fuse is. Do you really want it in court, fighting whether that's fair use or not for educational purposes? What if that judge had his keyboard go out on his wife's MacBook and was told $1,000 to fix it? Like, do you want to risk that? Do you want to risk that the judge went to the Genius Bar as well? Because there's a good chance that happened if my Senate experience tells me anything.
So this is interesting too, because there's a whole H3 mess, and the creation of FUPA, which I have my opinions about. But you seem like a legitimate like about as legitimate as you can get for the whole FUPA, the Fair Use Protection Association, whatever the hell
I believe this is fair use, and trust me, I'm the first person to say that if you want to make money off of doing this shit, stop taking clips from other people's stuff and using it. I mean, I don't get me wrong. I know that YouTube does have a problem where somebody will take 3 seconds of a clip to criticize it, and then it'll get taken down. Or sometimes people delete other people's clips and file false claims. That is an issue within YouTube. Yeah. But I mean, this is, in my opinion, one of the most clear-cut cases of fair use. I'm teaching you how to replace a fuse. I mean, granted, this is more complicated than it was in the 60s, where you're like, dude. But this is the modern day equivalent of me teaching you how to replace a fuse. This is as fair use as it gets. So I believe in what I'm doing as fair use. I don't believe that what I'm doing is wrong in any way, shape, or form.
But did you get any help from the FUPA movement or the video game attorney or any of that?
They offered, but I said I want to pay for my own attorney, and a big reason for that was that I was contacted by attorneys from that had their own motivations, or they worked for organizations and they wanted to move certain legislation forward, and if I could be a pawn in helping move that legislation forward, great. If I couldn't help them move that legislation forward, then fuck me, who gives a shit? And so I was, again, like one example. When I was considering deleting the video, I was contacted by somebody at the EFF, and they were like, "Oh no, you shouldn't. You should fight this. You should fight this. I think you have a case here. I think you have a case here." Yeah. I'm like, "Nah, I really think I should probably delete the video." I'm like, "No, you have a case here. No, you have a case here." And I think you have a case here. And then like a week later, they're like, "Yeah, we're going to refer you to a different attorney. Sorry, we can't help you with this." It's like, again, like the whole. This is why I don't want a free attorney. I don't want a free attorney. I would rather my cat represent me than a fucking free attorney. And it's not because they're not nice people. It's not because they're not knowledgeable people. I'm sure they're nice. I'm sure they're knowledgeable. I'm sure they're great at their job. But they don't give a shit about me one way or the other. They care about whatever is actually paying their bills. I want to pay my own attorney, and I can. I make money, and people didn't get that. I'm very glad I didn't take any of that. Offers for Patreon money or any of that for attorneys. Because there are people who think that I just made up the phone call to get money. Yeah. And then what my reply to that is always, well, to make what? Really? What? So like my YouTube would jump from 40 to 60 a day to like 40 to 80 a day for like a week? Yeah. I don't really. I mean, it's one thing if I said, oh my God, they're destroying me. Please donate. But another big reason I didn't want to take anybody's money is, what if they wind up deciding not to do anything? And I took all this money from all this people. Because when you take money from people, it really fucks up the relationship. It's like having sex with your boss or a coworker. Like, it really does screw up the relationship. People have expectations. People can get their feelings hurt. People wonder whether they can trust. So by not taking money, it really just takes away all the motivation that I have to be dishonest in any way. So I didn't want to take anybody's money. That's a minefield in and of itself.
So that was interesting. When you talk about it more, like, what was the mess with the EFF? Because, we hear about the EFF, and they're supposed to be the warriors for all that is good and wonderful, but that does seem like it turned into a bit of a cluster.
If they think that my case will help them pass legislation that benefits them, that is towards their goal, they'll help me. If they think that it doesn't, then I cease to exist, and they're more than happy to help me find a different attorney. I didn't want to waste time with that shit. It's like, I was okay speaking to somebody just to bounce ideas off of. That was cool. But something just felt weird about it. And yeah, I mean, and then they were just honest. You know, if this will help us advance the legislation that we want to advance, we can take your case. If we don't believe in your case, or we don't believe it will help us advance our legislation, then we're not interested in taking your case. I don't really feel like figuring that out. Like, how about you figure that out on your own, and when you're done figuring that out, then call me. I don't. I'm gonna pay my own attorney right now that knows, because my checks work, that he wants to defend me and that he wants to deal with me and offer me advice, even if that's advice that I paid for and I didn't listen to. That's the other thing. Like, when people talk about freedom, you really do have the freedom to do what you want. It's not like, because people said, "Oh, this is a victim mentality." My lawyer told me I should delete the video. I did not delete the video. I paid a legal professional for advice. I did the exact opposite of his legal advice. I took everybody's legal advice into consideration when I came up with what it is I wanted to do and what it is I wanted to say in my letter. But you do have the freedom to do what you want. You are allowed to pay an attorney $400 an hour, and then say, "Thank you for your advice. I'm going to do this instead." Yeah. But you know.
So with your attorney, did you have any idea or estimation, like, if Apple took you to court, how much it could probably cost you?
I try not to think about such things. I like sleeping at night. Honestly, I would be willing to pay for a lot of it out of pocket. I would be willing to pay for a lot more of it than most people think I would be willing to, or that I have out of pocket. Yeah. It's not something that I worry about.
So we're getting close to that. We've been talking for an hour and 45 minutes, and everybody seems so surprised that you.
How many people are watching this? I'm not even on the stream. I'm afraid it'll suck up my bandwidth.
424 right now. So.
This is a record.
Yeah, well, for me it is. For you, it's like, that's just who the hell cares, right? It's funny here. Like, I see all these people, and they're like, "What's wrong? What's wrong? Eli's not talking." And this is what I hate with, like, YouTube viewers. It's like, yeah, because I'm showing you Lewis. Like, what the hell's the point of having Lewis on if I sit here and talk over Lewis?
You need mods in chat, or else it just becomes cancer really quickly.
Well, the nice thing I like about chat, though, is it just disappears at the end. It's not like comments.
Yeah,
it's like you get to the end and, like, just goes, disappears. So anyways, we are getting close. We got an hour and 46 minutes. So let's see some of the final questions to get out of you. So how much do you actually work then? Because you talk all the time about getting home at 1 o'clock in the morning and then doing videos. Like,
I cut that shit out a few months ago. I tried to reduce my work day to as short as it can be. Oh. So I really did used to get to work at like 10 in the morning. Yeah. And while I was learning this, the learning process really does take time. So I would just sit and try all these different theories and block out the world until everything I was doing made sense, so that I could then get good enough at it that I could demonstrate it in 5 minutes in a YouTube video. But I'm just at a point of diminishing returns there, where I could do that, and I may figure out one or two things I didn't know before, but it's not going to bring me enough more money or happiness to be worth it. And it's not. So I'm done with that. I come to work when I want to come to work, and I leave when I want to leave. I did all the 12 to 16 to 18 hour days, and now I'd really just like to do the 2 to 3 to 4 hour days. I'm done with it.
So is that all basically efficiency and stopping doing extra work? Because that's one of the whole things, like with small business people, is you get so many like, "Oh, I'm working 12 hours a day."
Most people don't work.
Yeah, then you see what they do, and you're like, "That's not work."
What they do is they check email, but when they go to check email from a client, they get an email, a spam email about something that's interesting to them, and then they click on it, and then they find a website, and then they read the other stories on the website for a half hour, and then they get thirsty, so they go out to Starbucks, and then they talk to somebody at Starbucks, and then that 5-minute job of checking an email now turned into 1 hour of bullshit. But that 1 hour of bullshit they then count as work because they don't have a structured system. Yeah. A lot of people who say they work 12 hours, they're not doing jack shit. They're working for like 2 to 3 hours of that.
Yeah. So on your free time, do you go to any like tech events in New York? Any like the hacker spaces or maker stuff? No.
I went to some fixer events and it was so depressing. I really don't mean this in an insulting way. I know it's going to come off as insulting, but I don't mean it as insulting. I went to several fixer events. They're fixing a fan. They're fixing a microwave. Like, these people love fixing, and I don't. I do this to make money. I like solving puzzles. I like making people happy. I like making money, and I like being able to do new things in business. But this is a means to doing that. This is not running the actual wire under the chip and like cursing while I do it. That's not the part that I love.
Yeah.
That's just what I need to do to accomplish the things that I enjoy accomplishing. There are these people at these events who are like, we're fixing a microwave. This is awesome. It's like, I don't want to fix a fucking microwave on my free time. They're making a fan work. It's like, I want to make enough money using all the stuff on my desk that at the end of my day, I don't have to fix a fucking fan. I can buy a new one, or maybe even buy an air conditioner. Like, that doesn't excite me. I don't want to fix a fan or an air conditioner or a ring or a zipper and like, they're like, oh, great. So when you show up and then you're the iPad. Yeah. So next time one of these events happens, we'll tell everybody to bring all their broken iPads, and they're like, oh, that's a great way to ensure I don't show up. I don't want to fucking fix. I don't have a screwdriver in my apartment. I don't have a soldering iron in my apartment. I have a TV in my apartment with a broken HDMI port.
Yeah.
I just threw it away. I don't care. I do enough of this shit during my work time. I do not want to fix on my personal time or think about tech. Like, I'll go to concerts. I'll go to talk with my friend that has his own business. You know, we'll get lunch and catch up every now and then. I'll go to the gym. I'll go running. I'll go see Broadway shows. But like, no, I don't want to do this. Fuck all of this on my free time.
Really? Okay. You know, you might think about reaching out. Barnacles is actually going to be at the New York Maker Faire next week. You might want to reach out to him and say hi.
That would be
Maybe he
interesting.
can bring you into the maker world. Because in New York, you've got all that 3D printing. You've got a lot of cool stuff going on. So.
Yeah,
But
I shouldn't get left behind with 3D printing, but at the same time, I just don't see what I can do with it. Like, I see that there are people doing really cool stuff with it. They're making all these cool molds, and they're making, like, somebody made this Pokemon ball with a 3D printer, and it's cool. Like, I see that you made a Pokemon ball with a 3D printer, but like, what am I supposed to do? Like, throw it at my receptionist that she's leaving and say, okay, you're not leaving? I gotta catch up. I don't know what to do.
Fair enough.
Maybe I'm just getting old. I just don't like. I know that it is cool technology and that you can do cool stuff with it.
Yeah.
I just don't know what I would do with it or where I fit into it. Or
Dude, you're 27.
I know, but I feel old.
Give it at least another 3 years.
I
At
can
least
feel
get
my-
to the 30-year mark before you start talking about being old. I get so many questions from people. They're like, Eli, is it too late? I'm 28 years old. You're like, oh, yeah. No, you're not too old. So the final questions here. So what kind of entertainment do you like? Do you watch sci-fi shows, movies? That's the kind of stuff people like to hear about.
Not much. I try to avoid telling people what shows I watch because if I do, they'll spoil them. So that's something I've learned with. I'm not going to tell people what I watch because if I do, they'll just spoil every show.
Okay.
But I don't watch much. I don't watch much TV. I like watching concerts. I honestly have gotten into watching a lot of these old political speeches and debates on YouTube because I really like seeing what people like. What did people find acceptable 20 years ago, or 30 years ago, or 40 years ago? That's been interesting. I like seeing Broadway shows. I just started getting into that again a few years ago.
That's not kind of like, once you've seen... Because I've seen quite a few Broadway shows, and at a certain point, they all seem very Broadway-y. They don't get
There's
a little
some-
tired.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't see them every day. It's like $200 for a ticket. I'm cheap.
Have you seen Hamilton yet?
I haven't seen that.
No. That's supposed to be the huge one right now, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. That's cool. So, let's see here. Is there anything else? 8.5 more minutes. So we talked about... So you live in Brooklyn. So you live in Brooklyn?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. And yeah, I don't know how you people survive there. I was looking to I don't know if you saw the video where I was doing the whole Zillow thing, looking around your neighborhood. And it was like $2,000 a month for some little 300 square foot efficiency apartment. I have no idea how.
I pay about $1,900 and I have the whole floor of my building. So, I mean, I have 25... I have the perfect apartment for me in New York, so I can play music as loud as I want. My neighbors next door or downstairs cannot hear anything, regardless of how loud I play. If I do get home at 3 in the morning, I can play what I want. I have the entire floor to myself. It's 25-foot ceilings. It's like 75 feet long. It's wide. I like it's a perfect space for me. But it's like $1,900, which is bullshit. I mean, I could live somewhere else that's cheaper, but I live somewhere else that's cheaper, and then I get one customer a day. Like, what's the point? I try to find the balance, like of money I make and money that I spend.
Are you a New Yorker forever? Will you always? Do you figure you always live
New York
there?
is a shithole. I don't like New York particularly. I was born here. I started here, and somehow I got stuck here because I kept looking at opportunities that were around me. But I mean, if I became completely independently wealthy, no, screw New York. It's dirty. It's filthy. The people are nasty. The people are stressed out all the time. It's everybody says it's like, oh, you can get anything here. It's like if you walk around this neighborhood, it's like alcohol, shitty deli, alcohol, shitty restaurant, alcohol, shitty deli, alcohol, shitty restaurant. It's like it's the same thing over and over again. If you look really closely, it actually is the same thing over and over again. And they have some cool things here that you don't get anywhere else. You got cool museums, you've got cool Broadway shows, you've got cool museums, you've got cool Broadway shows. I don't get it. I think most of the people that live here that think it's so amazing, they don't even have time to enjoy this shit. They're so busy working 60 to 80 hours a week to pay their ridiculous expenses. They don't have time. Like, none of my friends that I know of go to museums or Broadway shows or any of the stuff that there is to do here. They go to work, they stay there like for 12 hours a day, they take the train home, they waste an hour of the day on the fucking broken MTAF train, and they're done. They don't even do this. They don't go out to restaurants to do all this cool stuff that you're supposed to enjoy here. They're just too busy working.
So that is a normal thing. Because I've had friends in New York, and I thought I just had anal friends or whatever, but that's what... I remember one of them, she was saying that, where she works 12 hours a day, and then you're required to go out basically and do like 3 hours of schmoozing, and she barely gets any sleep. Is that kind of like the normal life in New York then?
Yeah, and like now I finally have time. I mean, I've did a lot of the work that I have to do, so... Until this business collapses and it's on to the next thing, I do have the ability to just go and take time off when I want and do things. What I'm finding is it really is a lot of the same shit all over again. Like, I mean, it's just, I don't buy this as like the land where dreams come true, or that you have to move to New York to make your dreams come true. I think that's something that people have been telling themselves for a really long time, so they believe it.
Yeah. Huh. Yeah, that's cool. Well, I think we have come to the end. Is there any final thoughts for the wider world of technology you want to share?
I have nothing.
You have nothing.
I'm boring.
Yes, you're so boring. You only talked for an hour and 56 minutes.
406 people watching. Wow.
Yeah. You're the most popular one. Like I say, when I do the shows, I get like 180 people. It's so sad. Everybody keeps saying, Eli, you need to do what Lewis is doing. And I keep saying, oh, well.
I'll take 50% of the sponsorship revenue to show up.
Yeah. No. I don't know. Maybe we'll have to figure out that. Because,
maybe that'll be Ivic.
What's that?
Maybe that'll be a way to... Yeah, I'll send you an invoice for this show. That'll be how I start making money in content creation.
Yeah, no. Maybe we could do the Barnacles and J2 cents.
Jay's 2 cents.
Jay's 2 cents. They do the, yeah. I don't know. They do that whole talk show thing, and people apparently like that. So
I haven't seen that, but there's so much. I mean, is he like the graphics card review guy, or?
He does. It's all these guys. He does. It's the whole custom building, super fast computers or whatever.
I just don't.
He's like an older guy.
I've never watched that stuff.
He's like 41 years old with the white hair going on.
I've never watched any of the channels on like the graphics card things before.
Oh, right. Yeah. You should look at it. So so since you're in New York, you don't try to like reach out to anybody like Marcus Brownlee or something. He should be close to you.
I don't understand what I would say. It's like, what would I say to him? What would I do? I mean, like, he records like, this is a Samsung phone. Look at the Samsung phone. Isn't the Samsung phone great? I mean, what the fuck am I gonna do? Like, I'm not saying that I don't like him or anything. It's he seems like a very nice guy, but what am I gonna say? It's like, great job recording what a Samsung phone is. I don't care. I don't find that content interesting. I don't watch it. I don't see what I could get out of it, and I don't. I mean, I'm happy that he's successful. Like, kick ass. Keep doing what you're doing. It's great. It's just, I don't particularly care. I care about that probably as much as he cares about my motherboard stuff. It's like I just don't get it. But
have you been to the YouTube space at all? Since that's actually should almost be walking distance from you.
I've never been there.
You've never been.
I don't know. Maybe I just seem boring and old. I don't see if I don't see a point to doing something, a point or a reason or a specific goal of what I'm going to get out of it, I just don't do it. Which I've always been used to having limited free time, and now that I finally do have a lot of free time, I want to do things that I want to do. I don't want, like, if I go to the YouTube space, what would I do?
Just say hi.
I film.
Dude.
What do I get out of saying hi? It just seems like it would be a very boring exchange and experience.
Oh no. Maybe you find that magical moment. Maybe you find that, I don't know. You could be the YouTube Mac repair guy.
I already am the YouTube Mac repair guy.
I mean, the Mac repair guy for you. Anyways, I don't know. Been talking too long.
I'll show up to the space if they increase my CPM.
Yeah. They don't. I
Or
don't know
if they
YouTube's. Yeah.
If they figure out how to like make the older videos I did where the audio's on one side, I'll go to the YouTube space if they fix that.
Oh, so you have that too. I'm not the only stupid bastard with that crap.
I have one video. Like again, if they'll help me with that, I'll go to the YouTube space. I'll have, but what? I'm not. They're not going to solve any of my problems. They're not going to answer my questions. They don't give a shit. Like again, like you know, I don't, and I like YouTube. Again, it's a free service. It's just, I would go to the YouTube space if there was a problem of mine that they would solve. How about my silver my play button that was supposed to show up like 2 months ago? I'll go there if that, but they don't have an answer to those questions. So I don't. Or like, why is it that half of my subscribers say, "Hey, my videos don't show up in the sub box anymore," and I'm still subscribed? If I go there, will they fix that? So what the fuck's the point? They'll tell me about the new 360-degree camera they have there and like how I can reach out to my viewers by using new thumbnails. I don't give a fuck about that. There's no conversation I can have with them that in any way will be productive.
Okay, well, fair enough.
Maybe I'm just being mean.
I think you might be going a little mean at this point. But oh well, here. Since we're at the 2-hour mark, let me just say my sponsors, because I am supposed to say them, even though it's at the very end. And then we will end the stream. So stay there for a minute. So this has been the interview with Louis Rossmann here. Let me talk about our sponsors just for a minute because they do help pay the bills. We've got Veeam, free backup for PCs, VMs, and Linux, all at Veeam.com. Dev Mountain. Dev Mountain is a 12-week web development, iOS, and UX design boot camp intended to get you a full-time job in the industry. Learn to code at devmountain.com. INE. INE specializes in network training with hands-on labs, on-site boot camps, and a focus on delivering the best in online networking courses. INE.com. Schoolie Mitchell. Schoolie Mitchell's purpose is to increase clients' profit by reducing telecom costs using software and processes at no risk. We only share savings. SchoolieMitchell.com. Plixer. With Scrutinizer and flow data, users can determine what traffic is on the network, who is originating the traffic, and who is receiving it. Plixer.com. And finally, Gilware Data Recovery and Backup Solutions. Gilware's partner programs help computer repair and IT professionals make money by offering data recovery and backup services to their customers. Gilware.com. As I say, don't care if you thumb up, thumb down, leave a comment, but if you could click on the sponsor links below, that would be very valuable. And so some people, I've been watching the whole comment stream go by, and so some people have been saying my audio is a little too low. And that's a problem you get when you get somebody with good audio. See, if I had a normal person with crap audio, I would sound good.
I purposely turned it up just to make you look bad.
Oh,
Sound bad, actually. Yes.
There we go. I can believe that. No. But anyway, so yeah, we will be working on it. This is the first time, again, some folks out there don't seem to get this, where one of the problems in YouTube world is basically you're testing the first time you go live. Like, the only way to test stuff is to actually do it. So, you get some issues. And so that's hopefully the audio will be better next time. And then some of the other complaints, because I saw it scroll by, is, yes, I don't speak a lot, because the entire point of either my interviews or the coffee withs is to get these people's viewpoint. It makes no fucking sense to have Louis sit on the other side of the Skype and then me talk at him for an hour and 45 minutes. That would just be like, well, then why the fuck is he here?
And I talk too much.
No, you don't. I like it.
And you just got demonetized.
What, for swearing?
Yeah, a YouTube hero is going to demonetize you.
Yeah, I think like I said, I don't really care. Like, everybody's up in arms about YouTube heroes. I just think it's gonna fail. Like, I don't care because I think it's just gonna fail. Like, who's gonna do that much work, and not even for a T-shirt? There is no T-shirt involved.
They took the music industry as the music industry scam that they've been using for like 30 years, and then the film industries, and they finally caught on. Like, why are we paying people? We don't have to pay them, and they'll do it for free. But at least in the music industry, you get to. Like, if you get to have your credits on a Muse album or on, like, a Madonna album, okay. But you get to have your credits that you're a YouTube hero. No, I don't care. That's silly. Any questions in the chat? Because I'm not reading it. People are like, no, please ask him this before I go.
Yeah, no, that's actually why I kind of drug it out a little bit at the end, because I thought there would be like, I thought there was going to be like a zillion questions, and no,
every time I do a live stream on my channel, there's like at the end of it, no, don't go, you didn't answer my question, how dare you not answer my question, and then I hit X, and then they get mad, and
like, nice and mellow show, great interview. Everybody hates it. That's a funny thing. Like people leave like these weird apparently they're talking about something, but it's just like this random. Everybody hates it. And you're like, what do they hate? I don't know. It's like maybe I would agree, maybe I would disagree. I don't.
Yeah.
I don't. Yeah, like here, just randomly cheerleader effect. Like okay.
I don't. Yeah, that's confusing.
Yeah, that's the one thing I don't understand with YouTube. I think this is like the overall problem with YouTube. Is YouTube literally fundamentally does not understand communication. And like when you see this chat thing, or this whatever the hell this is, I think this is just so. This is YouTube. Like, what the fuck is this? Is just words with avatars. Like,
Did you? Yeah, Avatar Studios is a place on 53rd Street and 10th.
Yeah.
Have you seen the chat during the political debate? Did you actually look at any of the live stream? The chat during the political debate was oh man, oh my god! It makes me appreciate the people that comment on my YouTube channel.
I don't know. Yeah, no, I only saw a little bit of it because I don't. Yeah, it's this election. It's like for anybody that's not American, I just want them to understand. It's just like, yeah, I don't know what to say about this election.
We democratically chose them. They weren't.
That's
people voted. We did vote them into where they are.
It's like yeah. But oh well. So with that, I think we'll call it a day. We'll flip over to the splash screen, and then I'll talk with Lewis for a couple seconds. And then I'll see you folks at the next. I'll be doing a show tomorrow, right? Yeah, I don't know. It's only Wednesday. Yeah, 2 more shows this week. So yeah, I'll see you folks tomorrow.
No idea.
And it has been fun to have Lewis on. Again, take a look at what is your channel? Is it Lewis Rossmann Group?
Yeah, but it's a waste. Everybody's gonna spell my name wrong, so they'll never find it.
Oh, okay.
You don't even have to plug it.
So.
Right, it's Rossmann Group, but again, it will never get spelled right. This is a great opportunity for somebody who hates me to like grab my channel with the wrong spelling of my name.
Yeah. Well, there you go. Be careful of the hackers. So with that, we have Lewis Rossmann Group, and I'll see you folks tomorrow.
See ya.